Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. This is TFT. It's let's see, it's Monday for me, a Sunday for you guys, but I'm glad to begin the week with us and our crazy tinfoil talk conversations. Today's going to be a little more open-ended and casual. We're not covering a specific topic today. We're going to kind of do a round robin and talk about whatever we want, little bit tidbits. But we're also going to be taking some time to put down some categories and stuff that you guys would like to talk about yourself. Kind of plan for the next month or two. But so it should be a lot of fun. I do invite you guys to check out our links down below. And of course, we'd love to have you come on here, especially this show. I think of all the shows, this is the easiest one, right? Because you can put forward an idea and then we can bring you on and talk about that idea. So it's a casual, easy, and I'd love to see more people come and get involved with it. Also, definitely check us out on my Twitter if you do want to do that, but or if you want to be on the Drone Recorder Ultimate Edition. We had an absolutely killer show last week with Lord of the Rings. I mean, I just cannot but tell you the art is so amazing from these guys. Of course, we have a huge stable of artists that have we've grown over the past year and a half. It's just ridiculously impressive. I mean, it's over 100 people, Thundero. I mean, it's and they're all really good.
hmm
So I'm just really impressed. If you haven't checked that show out, please go do that. But of course, I just kind of mentioned him, but I have to introduce him properly. What should we do today? Well, we're driving through the city, just casually taking a look at night to see what's going on. There's a discotheque. The music is pumping ahead of us. The electrified nature of what's going on inside is so palpable that flashes of translucent make the walls able that we can see what's going on. And there, dancing as if he were Danny Terrio, is Thundero.
What? Oh no! If a discotheque and Danny
Yeah,
Terrio.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy!
Well, come on
Uh,
now. It's off the top of my head. That's pretty good.
it it was something. It was definitely a trip. We'll put it that way.
I almost screwed up. I should have put the word translucent after. I got myself in a little of a pickle, but I got out of it with Danny Terrio. I'll have to write that down. Danny Terrio, get you out of pickles.
Danny Terrio for the save.
For the save. You remember that show? Oh, no, you probably don't remember. Yeah, there was a show that he was on. What was that called? Dance Fever or
I do not. That was many moons before my time.
yeah, no, the disco era. We try to forget that, but people like me keep reminding everybody. It's sad.
Yeah.
That was one of the most embarrassing moments in our history, I think, dude. That was pretty bad. I mean, today is really bad too. There's a lot of things to be embarrassed about, but there's things to be proud of too. But the frickin' '70s, man, damn.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
it's one of those dark decades.
Yeah,
Aside from like movies, it was pretty bleak as far
yeah,
as
yeah,
culturally.
yeah. Well, there was some good music came out in the '70s. Classic rock, of course, is a '70s thing. It was pretty cool. The
Well, you say that, but not anymore. Chester, you're dating yourself. If you listen to classic rock stations over here, they'll play music from the 90s and the 2000s now.
what?
Yep.
Idiots. That's grunge music. That's not classic rock, dude. Well, you know what happened was the hippies finally started getting their shit together, right? And that's where classic rock came out of, right? They stopped being, drug heads, and they started actually, well, they kept doing that, but they started focusing themselves on becoming musicians, and we got some really cool stuff with that. But disco was, well, disco's is what disco is. I mean, and anyone who's surprised today that John Travolta is probably been a closeted homosexual since the beginning, go back and watch him in the '70s. Really? You shouldn't be surprised. Uh, anyway, well, why did I talk about that? I don't know. I apologize. I know a
I
lot of
don't.
well, the Travolta fans are all on me now. I'm in
Yeah,
trouble.
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
His 12 fans are coming for you.
hmm No, come on now. Travolta's done some stuff I really enjoyed. He's not all bad,
Yeah, he's mostly bad, though.
mostly, but I liked him in Swordfish. I thought he was really good, and he was good in Pulp Fiction in being that he was that we were kind of through our eyes. We were seeing the story through him, right? I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a couple a few good movies, but for the most part, he's had a lot of trash too,
He has,
just
he
garbage
has.
stuff.
Yeah, the fan was really bad. It was like wow bad. But the can I, am I allowed to mention Grease over here?
If you must.
Oh damn it! All right, fine. This-
That movie is one of two things: the worst thing to ever be put on on film, or the best thing to ever be put on film. I have not decided, and the only reason I have not decided is because I can't tell how seriously it was made. Like, did
Uh,
they know they were making complete cringe, or was it an actual attempt?
well, I think it was coming from an older age. It was from an older group of people. But there's two good things. Oh, well, first of all, I completely believe the theory that they both died in the very beginning. They drowned, and the whole thing was a dream sequence. I agree with that theory. I think that's true. So just to get that conspiracy theory out of the way. Ha ha! See what I did
There we
there?
go.
See what I
We
did
can do
there?
movie conspiracy
We
theories.
can. We
There
can.
are plenty of them.
There are plenty, yeah. And like I said, today's a round robin, so we talk about whatever we want. But one thing I'd say Greece is awesome for, if you ever go to karaoke or karaoke, as the proper sound. But if you ever have you ever done that? Do you do that?
No,
Oh, I
no,
see.
you don't want to hear me sing. Nobody wants to hear me sing.
Well, I like singing, and we of course
Oh, I enjoy singing. It's just not something I want to infest upon the world.
I see. I see. Well, I actually can sing a bit. I mean, I'm not the greatest singer, but I have 2 decades of experience, practicing my singing. So I've learned a lot of technique over the time. But this karaoke has nothing to do with that. It's just having fun. But here in Japan, of course, karaoke is a big deal, and there are these huge, gigantic karaoke shops all over the place, and it's something that people do. And so but Grease in those things is like a universal sing along,
Hmm,
and they're really good for that. Pretty much any song in Grease you could put on the karaoke machine, and everyone will sing along, and that's fun because everybody knows Grease, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
No, the as far as the music in that, that's very good. That
Mm.
the musical aspect of it is probably the only reason that movie's popular. I mean, it definitely is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But the rest of it is just so bad. Like, it's bad. It's even poorly acted. That's why I think it was intentional. Like, they knew what they were doing. It was intentional, campy cringe,
I think so. Yeah,
opposed to them trying to put on a serious performance.
I think so. But I am starting my list for today. Can I spell this right? Yeah. Oh, I did. I did. Excellent. I'm going to start it, and I'm going to put down movies. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that, but there are a lot of movie conspiracies actually.
Hmm.
So there's one. So good start, Thunder. You're doing a good job. But
Doing well. I'm
you're
doing
doing
well.
well. Doing well. Well, there's definitely a couple little things I want to talk about today, but we are here to kind of put together a list of things for the next couple of months, next quarter. Let's call it that, next quarter. Of course, we could just keep doing the things we do, and we could, become more nuanced with the topics we already talked about. But I thought it would be fun just to kind of find out what the chat thinks we should talk about, and what topics we should do. I thought we should do that today, especially because I was so busy last week. I got to go back to work, dude.
What's that like?
It's awesome.
I haven't done that in almost 2 months.
Yeah. You know the sad thing about it is, I had all my kids back last week. There was only a couple who didn't come because the government order technically is still out. Well, it's not an order. It's Japan. It's a suggestion. But
Mhm.
so there are a couple of parents who are like, no, no, no. We're going to wait till the government says officially. I was like, okay, no problem. But for the most part, I'd say 95% of all my students returned. I was very happy about that, of course, financially, because
Yeah.
I've taken a hit from this, particularly from my production company.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Are
Yeah.
they still not allowed to do anything?
Oh
No.
no, dude, I am shut down for the rest of the year as far as I know. Now coming in the fall and winter, I might try to create a couple of events, just try to salvage a little bit of money. But I mean, the summer is my budget. That's where I make my budget, right? So I mean, I've actually lost a year to the production company altogether. The good thing about it is the band guys, as far as because the reason I started the production company was because over
Mhm.
here in Japan, going out and getting paid to be a musician is like it doesn't exist. It's not even in the zeitgeist. right?
Yeah.
So we just
Oh.
Reddit just joined us. That would be terrifying. Oh my God, Reddit's back. No, it's not Reddit. That's just Discord. I didn't realize how similar their icon was.
I believe that's model.
Is it
Yeah, that's me.
Model?
It's a
Hey, what's
model.
up?
What's
You,
going on?
oh, not much. You know, you can share your screen. We can look at what you're doing if you like.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm coming in here on two wheels today.
Oh, uh-oh. That
Where's
sounds weird. Yeah. Anyway, what was talking about before Reddit attacked me? Um,
something about your production
oh
company?
yeah, my production company. So the reason I started it was so I can make some money off of playing because I was a professional for over a decade, right? So I
Hmm.
wanted to I wanted to, make some money at it. So I created a production company, started renting venues, and I did it intentionally for the band to play. And then of course I met all the other bands and pulled them in and gave them a little bit of money and yada yada yada. So well, he figured out how to do that properly. Oh wow,
He
he's
did,
he's
yeah.
smarter than we
He's a,
are.
he's a smart boy.
He is. But anyway, that's why I started the thing. So when it comes right down to it, although I'm losing money and all the other bands I would bring in are losing money, my band, they're kind of, I call them semi-pro, I guess would be the way to technically put a label on it because they all have their own jobs and stuff. Right, they're not their full income doesn't come from the music production. But anyway, I mean, my point is, I lost that whole damn thing, so it's for this year, and I'll survive. It's not that big a deal, but it's certainly a pinch in the butt. But I'm very glad that the kids came back. But the thing with the kids, though, dude, for the past 2 weeks, I mean, Japan was shut down hard. We didn't shut down like this before, right?
Hmm.
And for 2 weeks, I mean, nearly all those kids, I talked to them all. We spent the whole class talking about how they were and how things were going. We didn't really do any English study at all. Well, we were speaking in English, so it's effectively the same. But basically, all those kids for those 2 weeks, they stayed inside, dude. They literally didn't even go outside, not even just to run around the block. two
Wow.
weeks in the frickin' house, man. And they were happy as hell to be at my school, and I think that's why all the parents were like, "Yeah, please get him out of my hair." Uh, Probably is what it came down to. But they were really happy to be in the class. It was a great environment last week. I'm really happy, and this week, of course, we're back to it as well. You're not at work yet?
No, no. I with my wife working at the COVID unit, I might not go back till sometime this summer, probably.
Oh wow!
Unfortunately.
Now you work in the appliance industry, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm just basically like self quarantining. I don't want to spread it to anybody if I'm carrying it. Once they get the antibody tests and stuff going more, I'll probably go back.
Yeah. No, how's that going on in your state? How is that coming along?
Slowly, like everything in my state, because they're horrifically incompetent in Columbus. We're one of the only states that still doesn't have the federal like unemployment funding coming in. It took them forever to get proper testing. They haven't even started testing. My wife yet hasn't been tested yet,
Wow,
and
really?
she COVID unit every other day.
Wow. So
Yeah.
why has some of this been really slow on the uptake with the government? I mean, Trump pushed real hard in the beginning, and pretty much everyone was behind him on it, and started getting those money, trillions of dollars, right? So why has it been so, mismanaged from state to state? Because some states are on it, some states aren't on it. It's quite a mess.
Well, the crazy thing is they were on it. They were on like the shutdown. They were doing all that well, but when it came time to actually implement relief programs, they were just not ready for it. This is one of the reasons why Trump didn't want to do it through the state systems, and he just wanted to do direct payments, is because he knew a lot of the states just simply weren't ready to do that. They didn't have the infrastructure. Plus, my state is apparently run by complete boomers who don't understand how to set up a website even. They've been setting up this special website just for the federal unemployment, and it's taken them 2 months to do it. How does it take 2 months to set up a data entry website? It's beyond me, but it's taken them 2 months to do it.
Wow.
You know who I bet didn't have to wait? I bet Wall Street and the banks got their money.
Oh yeah,
I
real
bet you.
quick.
I guarantee it. We know Disney did. We talked about that. It was like the literally hours after they had made it official. Jeez.
Yeah, the whole thing's a sham. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
It could be. Why don't you elaborate on that model?
I mean, I don't know how much I need to elaborate as far as beyond that statement. I think I think the severity was a sham. I think it was shuffling money around. So the people that were important and were meant to get it, they got it.
Yeah, but do you
And
think I don't think that at the time, the big business and the the business authority was it really hurting, and the economy was freaking cranking, dude. It's not like they needed money.
yeah, it was, but who's gotten what they need above all else?
Oh,
Big business.
the big
Small
businesses, yeah.
business got gutted, and small business is the one who needed the stuff first, and they didn't get it, and so you have these social distancing measures that went into play where you couldn't have a small restaurant open, but you could have Walmart open
Yeah.
with as many people as you wanted in there. So what's the point? You
There
know what I
wasn't.
mean?
It's stupid reactions. The thing is, you're putting you're putting intelligence behind inanity, and I'm not
No,
sure that those two things can go
I
together.
don't think they're dumb. That's the one thing.
You don't think a
I
lot of
don't.
this was just especially if you look state to state, they're so radically different. You don't think it was just people overreacting more so than others, and panicking and such like that.
Nope. I think it was a complete pandemic. I absolutely do.
Wow, pandemic. See what he did there, Thunder? Did you see that? I saw it. That
Yeah,
was pretty cool.
I've seen that in a few places. I actually largely agree with him. I think there was obviously a lot of panic, but I think most of that was at the mid level. The upper level guys rarely panic. They're too smart and they've been through too much. You have to understand a lot of them have planned literal genocides and wars all over the world. This sort of stuff doesn't scare them.
It's
Yeah,
not.
a million people dying, they don't care.
No, that's
They
not.
weren't panicking about that. They'd kill a million people, without thinking too much about it. They don't care about that.
Yeah, they genuinely believe, and some of it. Let's be completely fair and steelman their position. Their position is their job is to protect the most amount of people. Now, unfortunately, they've twisted that in their mind and rationalized that means that they have to be in power to do it. So that means they'll do anything to keep that power and to expand that power because they're protecting the most amount of people. The greater good fallacy that they live under.
Right.
There is no greater good. There's just good. Just do good. If you have the power, do the least amount of bad you can. And that's really all it is to it. When you start to rationalize away evil that you've done because you helped other people, you're just doing evil. It's just that simple.
Why hasn't Trump and his Department of Justice gone to these mayors in these states and said, "Hey, stop arresting people for going to the park. Stop arresting people for opening their business."
I understand that they have actually. I
Yeah, the
understand.
DOJ did.
Yeah, I believe they have. Because Trump was saying things in his I don't know what you call them, his town hall meetings he was doing every day, or I guess he's still doing it. But he said it a few times, and I'm pretty sure he sent the DOJ to go deal with that. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the feds, while they do have a lot of legal authority, they have very little power when it comes into the states.
True.
So a state can just say no. We're going to do what we want.
No. They absolutely do. They can come to your house right now and kill you without letting the state know. They'll send their FBI and they've got that's a fallacy.
Okay, let me write that one down. The FBI can murder you in your home. That's a good one. Okay.
That's different from what I'm talking about, though. That's extrajudicial killing, which they've done to who knows how many Americans. We know it was at least 500 who were extrajudicially locked up and tortured in Chicago a few years ago for however long. That's when it was discovered, right at the end of Obama's term. The CIA black site, I think it was CIA black site, was discovered in Chicago. So we know they'll do those sorts of things, but they don't have, like I said, legal authority. to do so. They do not have the legal authority to kill anyone in the country.
Well,
They do that because they can, but they don't have that authority to do it.
I was going to wait till later, but since I can't pass up that transition. One of the things I did want to talk about today was Mr. Obama. And I know we don't get into direct politics very much here. Not direct. We kind of skirt around it or talk about the Constitution or things like that. But we don't usually get so direct about it. But screw that. I'm going for it because I don't know if you guys been paying attention what's going on with the General Flynn situation. But
Yeah.
what happened is Attorney General Barr pulled a string, and the whole damn quilt is falling apart, dude.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Flynn was that string. I guess it shouldn't be. When it happened, I was like, all right, that's got to come back on him. I thought so. But I didn't realize it was going to literally unravel everything. And it is. And it's beautiful thing to watch, dude.
It is one of the main reasons. Probably the only reason. Let's be real. That's happening is because he was one of the guys. He was a made man on the inside. Flynn was. He got thrown under the bus because he had the wrong affiliation.
Well,
there's been a massive civil war going on in the deep state, if you will, for a very long time now.
Yeah,
but pretty much all of Obama's run, definitely it was happening.
Almost
Snowden
certainly.
was just a symptom of it.
Yeah, and but there's something come to light, and because you guys are talking about what the Obama administration was doing, and we know there's been hints and smells of just really bad things that were going on underneath that guy. But nothing confirmed. It's all little bits here, little bits there. Nothing could be directly connected, right? But he won't get connected to him anyway. There'll always be a fall guy. But the thing that's come out of this Flynn thing, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to it, but I caught it. Let me lay the scenario down. What happened? This is what this jackass right here did. Right? They knew Trump was coming in. Now, I understand Model's going to take a different side on this, and I don't 100% disagree with them, but just let me go where I'm going, Model.
You got it.
They knew that Trump was coming in, didn't like it, right, for whatever their ultimate reasons were. It could just be pettiness. But what Obama did was he literally put some minor sanctions on Russia after the election, after Trump won. And therefore, it, of course, prompts the Russians to send their ambassador to ask why, right? And of course, during the transition period, you have a transition team coming in to help us move from one president to another. This is something that's been established for a very long time. It's how America works, right? And of course, the national security advisor during that transition period is General Flynn. Right now, I don't think he was picked directly. I think he just was the unlucky guy, like Thundero said. Basically, what Trump did was he set up a Trojan. What Obama did was he set up a Trojan horse, right? So they had to go and have those conversations with them, and of course, I'm sure they worked it out very easily because Obama put those sanctions just to bring the ambassador over, so that they could go back and say, "Oh, they're talking to Russians." Understand that Obama did that. He did that. He set Trump up before he even stepped foot into the White House. This whole thing started with Obama, not Schiff, not Pelosi. Obama did that shit. And of course, I've always been asking the question the whole time: why is it wrong for the president or one of his liaisons to be speaking to ambassadors from other countries? Why is that wrong? Isn't that their job?
It's perfectly normal.
It's not.
Right?
It's every single president that's been, in the interim, the president-elect, as they're called, has had that happen. The ambassadors never come and talk to them just because they want to know what kind of relationship they're going to have.
Yeah. Well, because they had but Obama set the narrative from the very beginning. He set it up. And Jesus, dude. Come on now. That's bad, dude. That's really bad.
That's a literal conspiracy. It's not even a theory anymore. It's exactly what they did from day one.
Exactly what he did. And then those guys took and ran with it. And now we know because of the Schiff papers that came out, and Trump's been so smart about releasing these papers, dude. But when those papers came out, it showed that not only did they have no evidence against General Flynn at all, and they just said, we're going to get him anyway. They had nothing against Obama. All these guys that were sitting on the CNN and stuff and talking about all these nonsense was all lie. Because in the actual meetings, in the actual paperwork, none of it was true. They all said we have no evidence whatsoever. But then they went on the TV and said, "Oh my God, we have incredible evidence." They just were lying for 3 years, dude. And Obama
Yeah.
set that up. So I mean, damn. I
Well,
mean,
and here's what has to happen. It will not. So I know that these heads of these media and some of these media personalities, the big ones, the Lemons, the Blitzers,
yeah,
the Anderson Coopers, they need to be arrested and tried for sedition and treason,
no, they do. They do.
and they need to be executed.
Yes.
Well, that
Public.
is the law attached to treason. That's true. But it's not just those guys. We're talking about Schiff. We're talking about Schumer. We're talking about all those people in the FBI, Comey. All of them
Yep.
could fall
Yeah,
under
absolutely.
sedition. All of them. I mean, and
So
not even trying to. You don't even have to stretch it. It
no.
is pure sedition, dude. I'm telling you, this conspiracy theory has been going on for a few years that there was an attempted coup d'etat in the American government. It's not a conspiracy theory at all. It's
No,
real.
no, no. There was. Yeah, there
Yeah,
absolutely was.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
And
They wanted to make sure that they could. They didn't. I think Trump coming in was largely an unknown to a lot of them. I mean, obviously he knew some of them and probably rubbed shoulders with them and stuff, but they didn't like him. That was obvious. Like they went full court press against him basically from day one,
before day
because
one.
he
Yeah,
dared question the narrative of unlimited immigration. Right? He dared. That's what did it. Nothing else did it. They throw all the other stuff at it. That's their golden calf. Their sacred
yeah.
cow.
Well, he also was
And
throwing wrenches in the China thing as well.
yes,
well, but here's the problem, though. Trump has Kushner in there, and that kid's a Chabad Lubavitcher.
Yeah,
They absolutely want to destroy this country, and they keep getting people. If you go and look at the amount of people that are involved in that, that goes all the way from. You remember Ari Fleischer?
sure.
Yeah, he was one, and so they've always got someone, reporting from the inside, someone very close to the inside all the time,
Yeah, but
and
I
that's a
think
problem. Trump knows this.
he does know this, and I think he's
He
wrangled
knows that.
Kushner quite well.
Hmm,
I
yeah,
I feel he
I'm
has.
not saying
What impact has Kushner had? He hasn't had any impact. Now, is he simply an ear on the inside? That might be true,
I
because
think
yeah,
I think Kushner's job, as you're saying, is he was basically there to try and stifle Trump, largely. Because in reality, there was something, I think it was like the Heritage Foundation or one of them said Trump achieved, which is the first time this has ever happened that I know of, about 60% of his campaign promises in his first year. That's fact. He did. Now, the big ones, though, the ones that really got him elected, the immigration, the end of the foreign entanglements, all that nonsense, he hasn't been able to. However, with this pandemic going on, he has been able to, at least largely on paper, at least enough that he can say he has. And the other one, of course, is the wall, which is, I don't know why it took him so long to get that going. There literally was no legal reason they could stop him. He kept making excuses. He should have just did it.
well, he did though. He's gotten it done. I mean,
It's going now, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
going full court press now.
It's good enough. But no, it is a fair point, and but of course, Kushner does get a bonus 10 points for getting some of that Ivanka. I mean, come on now. I'll give him 15. I mean,
Yeah,
damn,
she's smoking hot.
that is a
Beautiful.
smoking hot
Absolutely.
woman, dude. Yeah. And a smart one too. Whoo, double,
Yeah.
double deadly. But now, Joe Moroni's putting some interesting things up here. The hashtag Obamagate has been trending all day on Twitter, up to 759,000 at the moment, and during this conversation, it's gone to 778,000. Damn, dude.
Nice.
But yeah, good. I hope it gets to millions and millions because we know these politicians do, shady things. We know that it's part of politics. It's just something you have to begrudgingly accept. But I mean, come on, dude. He set him up from the very beginning, deliberately with a Trojan horse. It's insidious, but it also shows you Obama's a smart dude. He's not dumb, dude. Not at all.
Oh no,
And,
he's definitely not an idiot.
yeah.
This we have to stop. People really need to stop the stupid fallacy they put themselves in, where they say that this person is a moron because they don't do the things I like in power.
Yeah.
They can't be both a genius and an idiot. All right, you don't get
Well,
elected president by not being
you know,
smart.
Obama didn't just decide to do this either. A lot of
Probably
people
not. Yeah.
got this moving, facilitated it, and I do think Obama's an idiot. I've heard the guy talk. He can't put together
Well,
a sentence.
yeah,
Whether or
but
not
see,
that's
he's always
stage
trying to
fright.
watch his words, though. That's the problem. I think it's really he's constantly calculating every word. I believe. I don't think he's as dumb as you think he is, dude. But then again,
No, I
people
don't think
call
he's
Trump
stupid.
dumb, and it's clearly not.
Yeah,
I don't think
he's
he's
very
stupid,
poorly
but
spoken.
he's not
And
this genius that
No,
some
no,
people say.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm sure there was a team behind it. What I'm saying, this connects directly to him. And the thing is, I've been saying for years, not here with you guys, I guess, because we try to keep this politics out. But I don't think we should, to be honest with you, because things are coming to an head. I've always thought that this guy was up to some really, really shady shit. I think it's going to start coming out, dude. And he and Clinton and a whole bunch of those guys, Comey particularly, they should be. The charges should be filed. There should be court cases against these guys. We know Comey basically kind of covered up and got rid of the Hillary investigation. But in the end, who do you think will go down? Do you think it'll just be Comey? Because he's going down. I don't think there's any way to save his ass.
Based on past experience, yeah, one or two guys will get tagged to be the fall guys,
Yeah.
and nothing will change. Everything will go on as usual.
Yeah.
at most,
There's no reason for us to have gone this long without any arrests. That means there probably won't be any.
Yeah, no,
All the deals
yeah.
are being made. They're discussing the decorum. You know, the machine has to keep running. You can't expose the machine too well, or everybody loses their pay pig.
Yeah, no, true. And Devilish Boredom says this. I'm amazed that Twitter hasn't killed that hashtag yet. They'll get around to it, dude. I'm pretty sure, because this whole thing has just put a light on what Obama did, and I think it's a good thing. But now this brings up, because this is TFT, right? So it brings up another part of the puzzle, though, model, and it's the fact that. I know believe this, and I have my suspicions that all of this political stuff, including Trump, is just theater. But yet these things seem to be not theater. So do you think that Trump is possibly outside of the orchestration? Do you think it's possible?
I don't anymore. I used to think there was a chance, but I don't anymore.
So you think he is an outsider that just got in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike any president as the person in the office, if that makes sense. So
It
like
does.
I may think, like, I thought Obama was a terrible president, but he was still the president. That's the way it is.
Yep.
So it's not that he's not my president. I don't do that stuff. Same thing with Trump. I wish they would all do well. Doesn't matter who gets in there. I want them to do well. The thing is they rarely ever do. And it doesn't matter which party it is, they rarely ever do when they get there. So, but I don't, I'm not too naive to not understand that I think a lot of these guys, when they're running, they have these huge plans. They think they're going to go in and really make a change. And on day one, when they get that meeting down in the basement that tells them how things really are, that's when they realize they don't have that much power. So there are huge teams of people that are running this stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I do agree with that. We saw how white and shocked Trump was after coming to that first meeting with Obama. We don't know why he was, but clearly he was agitated, right? I mean, he was pale, right?
Sure.
So he'd been given some truths.
Because what would you, if you really wanted to get something done, what would you do? Let's say President Chester, you're in the office. There's a few guys sitting across the desk. They're staring at you pie-eyed. What's the first thing you do?
Well, first thing I do is murder about 1 million people. But beyond that, no, you don't want me in charge, dude. There'd be warmongering and there'd be all kind of trouble. I'd be a horrible president. Because anybody who got in my way, I just simply I have them removed. Yeah, I'm a dictator, a tyrant. Didn't you know that already, model?
Yeah, I just to me there are small things that you could do if you have the power, and I'm and
Oh,
I'm
you were
saying I
asking me
understand.
seriously. Oh, I apologize.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
saying seriously. What do you start working on day one?
well, what I would work on day one would be consolidating the authority within the government. That's what I would do. I would try to shut out anyone that was I felt on the outside causing troubles or not necessarily on board with my mission, but people who weren't working toward the positive aspect of America. I would do a deep dive into everyone who had any authority whatsoever in the government, and if they're not working for the betterment of the government, whether it's my opinion or not, I would isolate them and push them out. That's what I would do. Day one. Yeah.
What about you, Thundaro?
Day one, I would reinstate Mr. Kennedy's executive order.
Wow.
If I survived to day two, I would make a new executive order that would abolish the Fed as a private institution and nationalize it immediately. Day three,
Definitely not surviving
Yeah,
day
you're
two.
not. You're
if
not
I
making
make it to day
You might
three,
not have made it past one, but you're not making it past.
if I make it to day three, I'm going to then change I'm going to use a national order to basically ban usury in the country. I don't know how I'd word it, but that's what would happen, and I would destroy the financial institutions entirely.
Dude,
They're parasitic and destructive. They need to go.
You're not even gonna make it to the first correspondence
Yeah,
dinner.
I know. That
Hey!
sucks, dude. Sucks for
If
you.
I get taken out, I would make sure I was on camera at all times. At all times, I'd make it as public as possible. If I had to, I'd move. I wouldn't even go in the White House. I'd just sit outside on the freaking lawn and sign these damn orders.
Right. Well, let me catch up with the chat real quick, and because there have been some interesting comments we haven't got to yet. Where Roger Heller says, "Right on. We're discussing the theory of pink." Well, yeah. I said I prefer pink because you know what is it you like, and I just thought it was a catchy title. And of course, there's many little jokes as you guys are making in the chat for it. So there's a plan. Let's deep dive into the chaos theory, which is pink, the unknown, which is pink. I am old enough to know the mystery, which is pink. True. Well, if you're talking about the vagina, I'm on board for you, dude. Let's see. Pink Floyd, the pubulus enigma. All right. I don't know what that is. Dance Fever. Eddie Murphy jokes about Danny Terry and Raw. He does. Grindhouse movies. Do you think that's a conspiracy theory of Grindhouse movies? I put down movies already. I wrote that down, so I'm going to leave that there. Let's see. Joe Morone says, because I was in a discotheque talking to Danny Terrio from Dance Fever. Don't ask me why. Cool. All right, dude. I've never met the man. Metal says, hello, Metal. And Metal's going to be doing some stuff on his channel for Jason, Jiminy Cricket, and the NASA project. So definitely keep an eye out for that, guys. Joe says, what? Lily and Eddie had a fight in the disco with Danny Terrio. F you doing with Danny Terrio. All right, cool. The Crow. Oh, yeah. Well, once again, movie. I wrote it down, dude. I wrote it down. Tonight on a very special TFT, Chester and the gang discuss their love for the 1980s teen comedy Pretty in Pink. Okay. I don't know. You like that guy? You like that movie, guys? It was all right.
Yeah, I think all those movies are pretty.
A 17-year-old girl, so no, I didn't.
Well, come on, that's a chick flick. You go with your girlfriend to the movie type of flick. It's all right. It wasn't bad. At least it was, because for us dudes, we have to endure this kind of romantic comedy all the time if we want to date. At least when they're well made, at least we can enjoy that, right? And Pretty Pink is a pretty well made movie. That you don't think?
Not really.
That's
no.
Waters, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought it was fine. I'm sure I went and saw it on a date with a girl. I spent a lot of money on girls in the '80s, guys. A lot of money.
Was it worth it? Was
I don't know, dude. The thing is, since I was about 12, I've always had a girl next to me. Like pretty much, I've had very few down months. I've always had a female next to me my whole life, my whole at least adult life. And you have to pay to play, dude. That's the way it is.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's see. We are all expendable, D-Man. Well, yeah, that's obviously true. And of course, Joe's talk about the increasing numbers. Over 800,000, by the way, on the hashtag Obamagate. That's crazy, dude. let's see. I think that's coming. The Fed order. Trump already did something regarding the Fed. He did. He's because it's quite nonsense. The stormtrooper draconian measures that are being done by some of these governors. And to be honest with you, the cops that are getting those orders should know better. And we've had plenty of cops across the country say, "Nope, we're not doing it." And then we've had others that have, and they should
I,
know better.
I watched a video from an officer, and he didn't say who he was or where he was, but he was clearly in a squad car, and he was a veteran, and he was just warning people that, warning his fellow officers, you don't have to enforce these orders. If they fire you, they fire you. But one, you can sue them for that, and two, it's just a job at the end of the day, guys. Like, it's not worth selling your soul for. And if you keep pushing these American people, somebody's going to pull out a gun and shoot you dead. And that's just the truth of the matter. Like,
It
that's
is.
just reality, unfortunately. And everybody can talk all they want, all the big game that they want about how bad it is. Oh, people shouldn't shoot people. Blah blah. Yeah, okay. That's not reality, though. We live in a fantasy world created by very strong, powerful men who built it for us.
Yeah.
And it's starting to crumble down around us, and we're starting to see the real nature of humanity.
Yeah.
Better be ready to defend yourself with deadly force.
Unfortunately, you do need to be ready for that. Now, why? Ray Thulu says there is no Shermer in Illinois. Movies are bullshit. Now, why would the YouTube block that? I had to show that. I had to let Ray Thulu's comment through. It's just
I think recently they did a update and it reset a lot of people's filters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is, but it's not because mine is fine. Hey guys, in the chat, a couple of you swear in the chat, and let me see if it comes through. Just type in any kind of vulgarity, please, so I can see if he's right on that. Let's see. Joe Moroni says it was all foretold by QAnon. It's interesting. We did a show covering QAnon recently. I thought it was pretty cool. I see Ray Thule seems to be having some trouble with buffering for his connection. I don't know. It looks fine here. My bit rate's fine. Everything's cool. Yeah, no. Well, the F word is certainly being blocked. Try some of the other ones.
I find it surprising that your audience swears, Chester.
Oh no, I know. It is. Yeah. Oh, you're right, Joe. Joe, you're right. Damn it. See, I'm happy we have our chat, Thundaro, because Pretty in Pink was John Hughes. That's right, dude.
Hughes, yes.
Pink Flamingos was John Waters. Yeah, you're right, dude. You're right.
Yeah, same guy, Breakfast Club. That's who I was thinking.
Yeah. Let's see here. Wow, no, you're right. I have to go reset my filters. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Karen. They didn't catch that one, Evan Hotep. Well, you guys know what a Karen is, right? Have you seen this evolution of these terminology?
It is a great meme. I love the Karen meme.
Yeah, it's funny. But of course, this is I become more acquainted with it coming off of the Last of Us memes that are coming on in stuff. But stop being a Karen, right? But they're very good. Oh no. But then again, I mean, what the hell is Naughty Dog thinking? I mean, come on. What are you thinking? I mean,
they were co-opted and taken over by a genuine SJW.
well, yeah, no, Anita Sarkeesian certainly got her little teeth in there. But I mean,
We got the game director or whatever it is, whatever they call the title there.
Druckmer or whatever, Druckmann, whatever, Neil Druckmann.
yeah, Neil
Hardcore,
Druckmann, yeah.
anti-white, anti-male,
He's a
Yeah.
Bolshevik.
straight up
Clearly.
Bolshevik.
Yeah. Well, it's but it's you're. I mean that. Well, first of all, the leak is what killed him, and it's why they went after it so hard, trying to cover it up and block everyone, and copyright claim and all the stuff they did was because they knew how bad the situation was. Because they were basically going to try to sneak it on you, then make their millions in the beginning and just take the flack on the back end. But now they're not going to do that as much. I'm sure it'll still make money though. But it won't make as much money as it could. But that one is a sensitive subject for a lot of gamers. If you're an actual gamer, because The Last of Us is very popular for a reason. it just hits you in the heartstrings in many ways. And Joel is the heart of that series. And of course, the first thing they do in Last of Us 2, spoilers, is kill Joe with a freaking hardcore lesbian dyke, right? It's the first thing they do. And then the whole game, you're playing as Ellie, where you're going to try to get revenge for it. But that hardcore dyke that killed Joel, somewhere in the middle of the game, you play as that character. So does Ellie fail? Are they doing the kind of the nonsense that the Star Wars did and try to kill it off, get rid of all of it? Does Ellie get killed too? And now we have a whole new protagonist slash antagonist? I don't know. Some of you
Well,
probably know
we
better
had
than
to
me,
get
but
rid of the white male lead
yeah,
because
they
that's
did.
got to go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's evil. That's wrong and bad and against diversity or something. Um, no, what they're trying to do is it's just basic deconstructionist nonsense. That's all. They're trying to from what I understand, the the first game they twist that into you were effectively the bad guy, and you were the people that you killed in that game were all this new person's family or something. Um, so that makes you basically a villain in their eyes. So they're just doing the shades of gray nonsense
Yep.
perspective, good evil. It's just it's so tired. It's so played out. It's so cliche and cringy. The first game was terrible anyway. It's way overrated. I've
Well, the
never liked it.
story was
I've
good.
tried
The
playing it.
story was good.
It wasn't though.
I liked it.
It's zombie nonsense.
I
I'm
liked
so
it.
I'm so over it. Zombies have become such a cliche and a crutch. They haven't been good since probably the '80s. Just stop already.
Yeah, but
Come up with something else. And the good news is it seems like the entertainment industry is going to a genre that actually is pretty good, and that's cyberpunk and the steampunks and the punks in general.
yes, that's
Those
good.
are coming up hard, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Get rid of the zombie.
I agree with that 100%. But when I played Last of Us, it had nothing to do with the zombies whatsoever. That's not why I liked it. I liked the Joel coming to terms with being a father, basically, trying to be better. I like this aspect of the story. And of course, the heart wrenching choices you had to make at the end of it. But I liked it. And I guess everything's not for everybody. But I'm just saying, for a lot of us, what they are doing is very offensive. And it's for me, it's kind of like you have the Star Wars franchise, and then you decide to go kill off Luke. I mean, what a stupid thing that would be to do, right? That would be dumb. Why would you do that?
You can kill Luke off, but he literally dies of exhaustion. Like
Yeah,
they didn't even kill him.
Yeah,
he just passed out and died.
I was being sarcastic.
And then they went back and made his history worthless.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like spite.
Yeah, it was all. That's all that franchise was. They had to get rid of the male leads and the male heroes, especially the white ones. The black guys got to stay around, but the white ones had to go, and it had to be placed with woman. And pick your non-white person and one of them, and there you go. Now everything's right in the world because that's how they genuinely view the world. As white people are bad, especially straight white men. Everybody else is fine and good and justified in everything they've ever done.
You know what would be really interesting, Thundero, if we could do a little experiment and all of those white men, the white heterosexual men in the world, if we just took a vacation for a year.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what happened. Maybe they're right. Maybe they don't need us. Curious
Well, I
says,
think they would let us do that, but only if you had enough money to keep putting into the system to keep paying for it. They won't let you just disappear.
Well, no, it's a hypothetical, of course. And I'm being sarcastic. My point being is that if you actually remove the white heterosexual man from the world, you would be in a lot of trouble in the West, particularly. Asia would hold itself up, sure. There's plenty of places that would be fine because they exist in and of themselves. But in the Western world, those white heterosexual dudes are the ones that get everything done, right? So you'd be in pretty big trouble. But I've always thought it was funny when we're talking about rights and all this patriarchy nonsense because white heterosexual dudes, they in a way we do have a privilege. You know what that privilege is? When you are a high school kid graduating, going on to your adult life as a white heterosexual male, you understand one thing to be true. There's no one out there that's going to help you do anything. and you have to do it all yourself. There's no special organizations, there's no special grants or special groups, there's nothing for you. You have to do it all yourself. And in a way, that is a privilege because you don't have to, because you never take into account, I could put my hand out and get something for free, right? That's the reality. So I've always laughed when they talk about privilege and white men and all that kind of crap, because the hardest thing you can be in America is a white heterosexual dude. I mean, let's be honest with it, right? And this
Group.
is really cool what you're doing, model, by the way.
Yeah, you know what we're doing on Twitch?
No,
We're making murder hornets. So all my subscribers are getting a giant rubber hornet that they can put on their friend's face or their mother's kitchen table
uh-huh.
and terrify them to death.
I
So
see.
that's
So
what-
you're doing some kind of a joint project with Ethan Van Sciver. Sweet.
Well, you know, murder hornets are these things that are now in the country, and they're pretty well known for how much they murder. So
Are they? There was a
the
joke in there
Japanese
somewhere, right?
sparrowhawk, basically. But
It's a
somebody
Suzume.
spotted
It's a
one.
Suzume Bachi. You guys have Suzume Bachi over there.
Yeah, someone spotted one, and it's now the biggest panic. It's replacing Corona. So
Oh, really?
I think probably what we might find out in the next couple of weeks is that the murder hornets are now carrying Corona.
Probably, probably. Well, you know, I live in this little village I'm in. We have thousands of those damn things, dude. I see them all the time. The good thing about them is you don't want to get stung by it because it hurts like a bear, and the toxin is pretty vicious, actually. But and the problem is they'll spit some of their, I don't know, venom or something. They'll spit something on you, and it will call all the other ones nearby to come and attack. It's one of their defense mechanisms. But the good thing about these things is they are gigantic, and that size he's got right there is not really off. By the way, that's kind of realistic size, a little bit bigger, but you
One
know,
and a half inch bigger because I thought that another half inch of murder would be more terrifying, so we went
Yeah.
from 2 inches to 2.5.
well, there you go. But the thing is, they're so slow, and I usually wear me a hat, and when I'm outside and one comes near me, I just take my hat, swat it on the ground, and stomp it. So, but I see a lot of these around here. They're no
These
big
ones
deal.
aren't slow, Chester. They're very, very fast.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go. But I do have a lot of Suzume Bachi around here. The mountains, they live up in the mountains. Check your privilege, Chester. I know. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure Luke killed himself into croaking the escape that universe. Maybe he did. Curious says, I like the first Last of Us. It was hard to play while drunk. I would imagine. Let's see.
See, here's the other reason I don't like The Last of Us. You actually said it perfectly. The same thing they kind of did with God of War, the new Dad of Boy game.
Yeah.
They're using fatherliness to preach to you, and you don't even realize it. They're trying to to lower your toxic masculinity by putting it through the lens of a father. So that's exactly what they did, and that's even what they said they were doing with Kratos. That's why he was much less like Kratos in that game than in any other game.
Well, that might be true with God of War. I don't know. I didn't play that. I did buy it for my kid, and he loved it. But that might be true for that. But The Last of Us, that's not true. But it could be true for the God of War. I didn't know that. Let's see here.
I disagree.
All right,
That's why I
that's
don't
fine.
like.
They murder honeybees. Well, they do. Wasps and hornets, they eat bees. That's what they do. Let's see. Someone was talking about a praying mantis. Yeah. Ew. I saw a video of a praying mantis eating a murder hornet alive. I didn't even know the murder hornet thing. When did this start, model?
It started about a week ago.
Wow.
It's of course, due to all the murder, it's got everyone's attention.
Wow.
So it's
Has
definitely
anyone actually even
designed-
been hurt by one yet?
No, it's designed to terrify people.
Oh, God.
So of course, all the Karens on Facebook are terrified of murder hornets now.
Obviously, yeah. Well, you know, ironically, Asian murder hornet. Now, why was that blocked? Why did YouTube block that? Asian, because Asian was in the title.
Yeah.
Jesus,
You can't say
dude.
Asian.
Oh
Crazy.
man. But I put it through, Joe. Don't you worry about it. Ironically, yesterday, my wife and I, because it was my Sunday, right? Yesterday, my wife and I took a drive in the afternoon, and we went to a nearby city where they have a grocery store that carries a lot of foreign products, mainly European type of stuff. And we just went shopping just to get out of the house, take a ride in the car. But she wanted to stop by a bakery up in that town because she wanted to get some from Mother's Day. She wanted to get and Happy Mother's Day to all you ladies out there, by the way. But she wanted to get some a cake for her mom. So we stopped, and in this place they really are like honey this and honey that type of little patisserie type of place. And they had a bunch of honey, but they had something here in Japan they do with these murder hornets, as you call them. They eat them.
Of course.
Yeah, and they had these little
You
jars of honey.
have to before they eat you.
Yeah, I guess. But they had these little jars of honey, and in the center of floating in the honey is one of these suzumebachi, these swallow wasps, right? And I just it's weird that we're talking about it today. I just saw a bunch of them yesterday. Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, what are you going to do? Release the dogs or the bees or the dogs with bees in their mouths, and when they bark, they shoot bees at you. Homer Simpson. That's right. What a reference.
Oh, The Simpsons. Oh
Goodness gracious.
boy.
Nixie says Abe-sama. Abe is the Prime Minister of Japan, by the way. Abe-sama sent murder hornets to stop Hollywood from making live-action Akira. Thank God. Um, let's see. You're talking to each other, talking to each other.
I wish something would stop that from existing. It's gonna be bad.
It's gonna be bad.
What, the murder hornets?
No, the live action Akira.
Oh yeah. Well, you never know. Let's keep our fingers crossed. We could get lucky.
No,
You know.
Hollywood burnt me too many times now. I'm gonna err on the side of caution when it comes to Hollywood.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I'm caught up with the chat here, although Amaran says Simpsons always predict something. They seemingly do, don't they? They seemingly do. But now that show, The Simpsons, that's Matt Groening, right? But didn't he like lose it, or where's the ownership of The Simpsons right now?
I have no idea. I haven't kept track of the Simpsons since the '90s.
Yeah, but it
hasn't been good for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it definitely there was a point where it got taken over, probably by Fox.
And the guy who does the stuff is that McFarlane guy, right?
I don't think so. I mean, he could be. I have no idea.
He does the Family Guy.
Oh, he's the Family Guy. You're right. You're right. Simpsons was Groening, but I'd heard something recently that Groening has been kicked out long ago or something like that, even though his name still shows up in the title.
It would seem like it, or
yeah.
he just stepped back. That show really, if technically it stopped being good after about season 6, but Conan O'Brien used to write on that show, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Way back in the early days.
Oh no, the original Simpsons was great. Now, what are you talking about here, Nick? Nick says, "Did you guys see Constantine and King Shark were together?" Dumb comics. Yeah, now, are we talking about sexually together? Is that what you mean by that, Nick? Huh? Oh, I gotta search this. Hold on a second. Hold on.
You talking about Keanu Reeves? That Constantine?
I'm looking it up.
He's not in here to hear you say that. He's not a fan of that movie.
That movie's great.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. And this is under Pink News. Oh, you did that. Oh, you're clever. What a clever boy. Clever boy. Did you guys see what he did there? Very clever boy. Nick found on Pink News, because I put I prefer pink in the headline today. And on Pink News, it says, "Oh my God, should I even read this? I'm doing it. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a deep breath. This channel is horrible, by the way. Okay, here we go. A DC comic superhero bottomed for a mutant shark, and it's officially been declared as canon."
Oh, there you go.
Ah,
Hold on a second. Hold on. I'm trying to keep from an aneurysm incoming. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I averted it. Let me read that headline again. Hold on a second. A DC Comics superhero bottomed, which means to be the receiver, right? Is that the catcher? That's
That
the
means you're
modern.
getting pounded in the butt.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's what I thought. You're catcher, pitcher type of thing. I get it. I'm an old dude. These are new terms for a mutant shark, and it's officially been declared as canon. Someone, I swear to God, ninja
Why
swords
does
need to
why
be
does
pulled out.
why does everything have to be gay?
it's a very good question. You would think, with as much as they've gayified the things, that gay people were like 30% of the population. No, in fact, not even close to that many. It's preposterous and revolting, and it makes me physically ill. They've actually made me a homophobe. Before I didn't care. Now it's like, God, can we just stop with the gay? There's so much gay. It's
Yeah.
all the time, everywhere.
Yeah,
Next
well.
month, every single major freaking company on Twitter and all over the world is going to gay up everything. They're going to go all rainbow flagged everywhere. And it's Pride Month. We're so proud. Shut the fuck up.
Oh God.
Just go be
Triggered.
gay over there.
There are
Triggered.
what I call real
Triggered.
gay people who their gayness isn't like a character, and they're just like normal people, and they don't like stuff like this.
Well,
In
no,
fact,
of course they've turned it
professionals or
into a commodity,
executives.
right? They've made it a commodity. Yeah, that's true. But I would suggest that if you want a really good laugh, go to pinknews.co.uk because damn this channel. Should I just show it to you? I'm just going to show it to you. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Here we go. Here we go. All right, here it is. I'm just doing it. This is best, right? Let's take a look at this. Let me come over here to the guys and. Yeah, okay, I got that up. All right, so let me bring it back up over here. Let me share my screen so you guys can. Well, yeah, okay, there we go. There it is. This one right here. Go live. All right, so you guys can go ahead and click on mine and see it if you'd like. And let me bring it over and bring this up so you got. Ooh, this is nice and smooth. There we go. So here's our headline, right? Which is ridiculous. Let's read this right here. He was a bisexual, crumpled suit wearing detective. No, he wasn't. No, he's not. Never was. Very male guy, actually. Very masculine. Who happens to be a warlock. He was a humanoid shark. Can we make it any more obvious? No. Well, first of all, learn to write English. Who the hell are you? Josh Milton. What the hell is this
matter
person?
who
Look at
Josh
this.
Milton
Look at this
is.
ass. Look at this. What is that?
Josh Milton is fabulous. Okay?
What the hell is it even
Judging
that?
by his two last names, he's a Bolshevik communist too. So.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. What the hell is that? Is that a man or a woman? I'm not sure. I'm confused.
Well, that's what you're supposed to say. It could be either.
Okay. Well, anyway, look at some of the stuff over here. Gay tiger levitating Las Vegas magician Ray Horn, who inspired Tiger King's Joe Exotic, has died after testing positive for COVID-19. Okay, we saw that yesterday, and safe journey, sir. But is any of that true? Did this guy actually inspire the Tiger King? Did he? Where do you have any authority on saying such a thing? Interesting. Gender-based lockdown rules that fueled rise in violence against transgender people to be lifted. Now, hold on a second. Gender-based lockdown rules. Name one. Name one. Anybody? Anybody? Has there been one single gender-based rule? When's the last time we made a gender-based rule? Like how many hundreds of years ago? We
Yeah, I'm
got
not
rid of
aware of
some in
any.
the 60s, I suppose. But when did we make one?
Not aware of any.
Yeah, I'm not aware, unless you want to call gay marriage gender based, which you could. Um, so no, dumbass. Five famous footballers are gay. Yeah, so what? Says niece of the late Justin Fashanu, Britain's first and only out gay football player. I doubt that's true. I really don't think anything you just said
Of
is
course,
true.
it's not true. Of course, it's not true. You know, when I worked in the entertainment business, there were a lot of gay execs like Hyatt who were gay or whatever they were into, and they made fun of the what they considered to be like the lower caste of gays, the ones that were in lower positions that were really flamey.
Yeah.
They would make fun of them.
Yeah. Like guys like Peter Thiel, guys like that, who they're
Yeah,
homosexual.
yeah. And
Not,
they, I
not
mean,
their whole personality. That's not who they. I'm just so gay. They don't talk with that ridiculous affectation that's obviously put on to make themselves sound more gay. Their whole identity isn't based around where they stick their penis. That just happens to be part of who they are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, and of course that's true. They've commercialized it, and there's a couple of articles. This is interesting. Now, I don't want. Well, first of all, I don't mind the gays having their own websites to come and do what they want to do and talk. Of course, there's no problem with that at all. So, I'm going to I'm going to try not to knock on this site so much. I mean, it's all right. It's not for me, clearly. It's just some of these headlines. At least try to find a little bit of honesty in there. Brazil is the latest country to lift restrictions on gays and bisexual men giving blood as samples dwindle in the face of coronavirus pandemic. Okay. Well, you do realize anyone who gives blood gets their blood tested. It doesn't matter if you're gay or not, right? Of
Yeah.
course, they have to test your blood. Now, what is this? Eugene Lee Yang has come out as being gay, and does that surprise anybody? I mean, honestly,
well, I
it
guess it's
clearly
brave
he has always
and
been so.
courageous.
And he's brave and bold. Yes, brave and bold. But all right. Anyway, let's get off this site because I'm going to get in trouble. But that's dumbass. DC Comics. What the hell are you doing? It's not even. That's not even homosexuality. That's like homo bestiality phobia. I don't know what the hell that is.
So, what you do have in the gay community is you have a certain amount or a certain percentage of people who are miserable regardless, right? So they're just being what they want to be, but they're still absolutely miserable. So they have to make other people miserable. But usually, when you have miserable people, you have a certain amount of nihilism that comes with it. So everybody knows pretty much that you can't have a society that is completely homosexual. That is not going to be this wonderful utopia that lives on for thousands and thousands of years. It's not going to happen.
Well,
So
no.
then you have to start introducing these artificial means of reproduction and stuff like that. So most healthy homosexual people they don't care about all of this stuff. But like with everything, whether it's people complaining about an Indian squaw on Land O'Lakes butter, you have this small, very vocal minority that gets heard by another very small vocal minority who happens to be running mainstream media in this country. So their bread and butter is discord, and as much of it that they can sow, the better.
Well, the
So
thing
that's
is,
what we're
though.
getting is we're getting a constant barrage of this negativity.
Oh yeah.
And I would tell people, don't worry so much. Go out and look at your life. Do you see? I live in the heart of the Deep South. People don't treat people badly down here. Okay, I know, yes, you have the isolated incident that happens. Maybe someone called someone the N word, but it doesn't happen on a regular
No,
basis.
it doesn't. I
And it's
lived in the
not the
South myself.
law that causes that. It's because, in general, people don't want to shit on everyone else's day. That's kind of the way most normal people are. That should be your goal when you get up in the morning and you walk out, is to not make anyone else's day any worse than it's already going. And
Yeah,
that's the way
no.
I think most
Yeah,
people conduct themselves.
I agree.
But you have this, like, people talk about, if aliens were watching our news, they'd think we're insane. They absolutely would. First of all, they would think the entire world is mostly gay. It's mostly these minority groups running everything, and these awful white people. They're like insurgents. They're like the Irish Republican Army coming
Hey
out and
now,
blowing.
hey now, don't you talk
Hey,
about my brothers like that?
but you get my point.
Yeah,
It's everything is very, very skewed, and I think a lot of people are more and more as time goes on. They're spending more time in their bubble with their social media and their internet and their streaming news and stuff like that. And you got to get out there in the world because it's not this with this corona thing. I this whole time I've been saying every time I'm out, I see people everywhere.
yeah,
Walmart is full, the roads
sure.
are full. Okay, so where was that huge spike in the curve that we were supposedly going to see if we didn't do this? It never happened. Just to look at the DOT closed circuit TV. The roads are packed around Atlanta every single day. Packed. Nothing's changed. It's
Yeah,
business as usual. But small business is getting gutted. So when
yeah.
this opens back up, your Walmarts, your bigger stores are going to have even more of a market share because these other businesses are going to be gone.
Well, Model, what is one of my pet peeves since you're talking about these kind of things? Have you guys noticed, and this is all over the world, by the way. Because I watch news from all kind of countries, right? Not just Western English speaking countries. I watch it all over the world, and this is something you can find everywhere. This is universal. When you see and you have a politician up there speaking, and they have some weird crackpot sitting next to them doing sign language. Have you
I
noticed
love
that?
those guys. Yeah.
Right? Now, if you're in public and you have someone like that, okay, cool, it's valid. But you're sitting on TV with a planned TV representation. We have a thing called closed caption. We spend money on that shit. Why in the hell do you got some weirdo sitting up there signing everything? Of course, it's virtue signaling. And I see it all across the planet: India, Asia, Russia, everywhere. Everywhere you see these politicians, they got these sign language people. I'm going to have to learn sign language in multiple languages, just so I know, so that I can confirm that they're basically saying "fuck off, all of you." I know they're doing it. I know they're
Best
doing
is
it.
the when Trudeau does his goofy things, and then they have one doing the sign language for English and one doing the sign language in French, and there's like just boxes all over the place, and they also have someone voice translating the French, so it's just like this chaotic thing. By the time it's done, you're like, well, you didn't say anything. Who knows what he
Well, they
said?
never do they? But I mean, that's just a pet peeve of mine because we have closed caption. It was designed exactly for that. And exactly, you're virtually selling to what percentage of the population? I mean, honestly, how many people are deaf? I mean, how many people would you possibly think are deaf? Is it even a percentage of a percentage?
God, Chester, they might hear you.
God. Let's move
Whenever
on to
the
some.
sign language people come on, I like to just start beatboxing because that's all I think of the whole time. They're just throwing gang signs.
Yeah, right, right. But some of those are really weird people. You think they'd be a little bit more discerning in choosing who they put in a little box. Ooh, see if you get that joke. Eric, you are banned, by the way, sir. You can leave the channel. Thank you very much. That's disgusting. Let's see here. Roger says, Chester, have you guys decided when you're going to do Bunny Vision movie night? Dude, we are going to bring it back, and we need to make a decision. And I think we're going to do it on your guys' Saturday night. How's that sound, Thundero?
That's fine.
Yeah,
Works for me.
I think because I can't be there for every episode, but I can be there for as many as possible. And because we're going to do it on the Discord, it doesn't matter whether I'm there or not, because we're not going to put it on YouTube at all. We're just going to put it in the Discord and just have fun together. Thundero, let me ask you a question, a little bit of shopkeeping, because basically Thundero's in charge of the Discord now, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So Thunder is the boss. Now, Thunder, you have it set up so anybody can join the Discord.
It should be. I'll
Yeah.
have to double check. It should be, yeah.
But if you could throw that into the chat so that everyone knows where to go, we'd love you guys to be in the Discord. Of course, it makes it a lot easier for you to join the show if you want to, right? But I think we're going to do it Saturday night, maybe just standard time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. What do you think?
Oh, the hell? Well, hang on a second. For some reason, my thing's having a conniption. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Well, probably the
Whichever,
shark porn that did it.
yeah, whichever one works whichever one works. Really, I'm good either way. I'm doing nothing
Well,
for probably another month or so.
Well, there you go. So you guys, you know what you do? You come and join the Discord, which he just dropped the link. So just come over there and be part of our Discord and have the conversation in there. What you think would be the best time? Do that. But I'm happy 8 or 9 either way is fine for me. And I'll come in when as often as I can. I am pretty busy on my weekends, but I think I can come in often. But we'll do the first one this week, Saturday. Let's just call it 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Oh no, we should do it earlier. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Saturday, and we'll come and we're going to watch What We Do in the Shadows, a great indie film from New Zealand about vampires made by Taiki or Tiki or Teki Tiki or whatever his name is, Waititi, and it's really good. And come watch this with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Which comment? You know the one. You know the one, Eric. God. All right.
You
uh,
know,
you know what you did. All right, so let's take a. That was fun, little overall conversation. But we need to take a little bit of time and create a list of topics that we can cover on TFT. And I've already got written down movies and the FBI. So you guys in here with me, as well as you guys in the chat, let's put together a list so we can kind of flesh out our next quarter. So what do you guys think? What shows should we do? Specific shows. Although I do think doing this kind of round robin thing like we're doing today, we should schedule in occasionally. I think it's fun. But anyway,
Yeah, sure.
what do you guys think?
Just a bitch fest.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
um, here's kind of a fetch one, but we could probably just roll it into other stuff. Mr. President Eisenhower. I'm sure Chester and Model both have heard President Eisenhower's farewell address, where he warns the country of the growing threats of the military-industrial complex. That to me has always been weird because Eisenhower was about as inside of a man as you could possibly be, and yet he, on his last parting shot to the nation, called out his own people. So what was he seeing that he was so afraid of that he would take time out of his last presidential address to mention it?
He also supposedly met with aliens.
Yes.
I think he saw the shenanigans that went on during World War II.
I think a lot of it was being set up around World War II in the 20s and 30s, and Eisenhower was obviously privy to that. He's Eisenhower. And I think the original intent that he was sold is not what it became. And that's what he was warning of. That's what he was afraid of. Like he was probably
Truman came out and said after the Federal Reserve and the that act that he said he unwittingly destroyed this country.
Yes.
So they knew it. These guys, they knew it.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's out of their hands at a certain point. They can try to fight against it, and then someone sits them down and goes, let me just tell you how things really are.
So let's do, just as a broad topic, the military-industrial complex. Because that's really where pretty much all of this comes from, at least in America.
I got that written down. Lady Celtic Moon says, "Who is Beowulf?" Well, Beowulf is one of our friends, and he's busy working and studying and getting his license. Is why we haven't seen him in quite a while. But he's the one who created the Discord for us. But he just made me administrator, which I made Thundero administrator. So we got complete control of the Discord. But that's who he is. Let's see here. The Nick says a TFT on the comic book industry. We could do that. I'll write that down.
Do we have to?
How about we can do comics as well, and that's fine. But for model, pick an entertainment industry, and we'll go with that one. We already have movies, and now we have comics.
Music. There's tons of bad stuff in music.
Oh no! And someone mentions that right here. Let's see. That's who was it that mentioned that? Joe says backwards messaging on Beatles records. Sure, let's just music. I'll just put music in there, and then in parentheses.
Another good idea for a show topic would be anything that is not comics. Since we're doing the industrial, military industrial complex, let's do one on Jekyll Island and the Fed.
Ooh.
Jekyll Island.
You can't say that these people don't have a sense of irony and artistry.
Jekyll
Because of-
Island and the what?
The Fed.
Okay.
Of course, they decided they had their little meetings on an island known as Jekyll. Like, come on! You can't even write a script like that. It's so good.
I don't know anything about that. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, and considering back in 1913, an island off the coast of the state of Georgia is kind of weird. Considering all the places they could have gone, that's definitely an odd.
Yeah, they definitely picked Jekyll intentionally.
Yeah.
Cool. What now? Evan Hotep says American Vandal. What does he mean by that?
American Vandal. I do not know.
I don't know. Well, elaborate,
I think
Evan.
they opened up for Hornet Leg.
Okay. Elaborate, please, Evan. Round robin once every 2 months. Yeah, no, I think how about every sixth or seventh episode we'll do a round robin. I think it's fun. Let's see here. Pyramid Power from the 70s. Ooh, what do you guys think about that?
Ooh. Could.
You
Absolutely.
know, Evan is planning to start up Evan's Gate, and he had no idea what Heaven's Gate was.
Ooh,
So
Heaven's Gate.
It was just his genius of Evan's Gate that was like, well, yeah, we need to look into that a little bit more then.
Well, we
Get you
did
some
talk
good
about cults. We
sneakers
didn't get
and-
into suicidal cults, though, really.
Death cults.
Comic cults and asteroid cults. UFO cults. That's definitely what they were. They were UFO cults.
They
To
Heaven's
me,
Gate
if
most
it's
certainly
not a
was,
death
yeah.
cult, to me, if it's not a death cult, you're just not really trying.
True.
Yeah,
That's true.
and everything else is kind of low energy, you know.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
what-
You gotta commit.
We could do.
Like I got a cult, and someone goes, "Oh, have you ever seen that Jim Jones cult?" And you're like, "Oh, my cult's not as good."
Right, that's fair. But we haven't done this much. I try to keep it very broad so we could just talk about whatever. But we could try a very specific one on Heaven's Gate and just talk about Heaven's Gate itself, what it was, how it happened. We could do that.
Yeah, that would take up a whole show, really.
I think so. Yeah, let's try. All right, I wrote it down.
You know,
Let's see.
since you're doing like conspiracies in comics, we could also do cults in comics.
Oh God, he's swinging to the fences there. Let's see, conspiracy show on Netflix, very deep state stuff. Oh boy, are we going to do On a Pale Horse by William Cooper? Ooh,
I love William Cooper, and we should address William Cooper at some point because he was murdered by the government.
Absolutely. Let's do one on William Cooper. Period. Just on old Bill.
Because you can get a couple of clips from the Hour of the Time, and you can get some stuff from his book and stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
a piece of cake doing that show. That could almost be a clip show if we don't get copyright strike. I don't think we would for playing parts of the Hour of the Time.
No, I doubt it. I don't think it's copyrighted by anybody.
yeah, no, I think we could set that up pretty easy. Yeah, you're right. And I definitely could just drop a bunch of clips and the photos and stuff. I do that anyway. Let's see here, because how about a Mormons and magic underwear? I don't know. We want to touch the Mormons? I don't want to touch a Mormon, but
You're gonna
Maybe
make-
Jimmy could wear his and come on the cam.
maybe.
You're gonna make a lot of people angry if we do the Mormon one, but there is some interesting conspiracy theories around the Mormons.
We have a lot of Mormons in this community, though.
Yes.
We do, and
it's
I'm
hard
happy to
get
have
into
them all.
any of those without being insulting, but you would probably want to get a Mormon on, I would think, for that.
Yeah, but if you guys get me on Mormons, I will have to go into the historical stuff, and I'll make people angry. Thundero's right. Let's not touch that.
Did you know that there was a tie-in between the Mormon Church and that Nexium cult? Did you know that?
No.
Yes.
Absolutely. These Mormons, you got to keep an eye on them.
You gotta watch those guys. They're all smiles and cookies, and then they're in a sex
Yeah,
cult.
they're like, here, have some food that'll store for 30 years, but they're up to stuff behind the.
No, most Mormons, the vast majority, same with Christians. We rag on Christianity a little bit, but for the most part, the people of their respective religions are fantastic. They
Sure. And
genuinely.
that's the case. That's the case with countries too and regions.
Yeah,
when we
it's true.
bag on China, it's not the Chinese people.
Well, it kind of is a little bit of the China.
My
It is
only
a little
gripe
bit.
with Chinese people is that they're too complacent with being ruled by absolute monsters.
That's a cultural thing, though. A lot of places are like that. Look at us. Why haven't we risen up? Us stupid Americans. We should have risen up 20 years ago.
Wow, dude, that hashtag Obamagate is almost at 1 million. Damn, dude, it's on fire, man. It's on fire. And I'm happy for it too. How about a one from me? How about we do lost civilizations that are not Atlantis?
Let's pick one. Let's pick one. You know I bug you when you do this, Chester. Because Chester's like, hey, I got an idea for a show. Let's do conspiracies. I'm like, Chester, can we narrow that down? How about this, Chester? How about a culture or a continent? Can we? Because otherwise you end up throwing out like 2 facts about 100 different things.
No, I will go and pick the one specific one and do. But the problem is, the reason why I try to keep things so broad like that, which you're complaining about, is so that you guys can bring your own thing to the table. Specifically, when I do the historical things, if especially if it's a nuanced thing, it might leave you guys out of the conversation unless I pick something like Evan says here, or Joe says here, Shangri-La or something like that. That's the reason why I try to keep it very broad. But I'll pick one. I will.
Hey, can we not do Gobekli Tepe? Because I've heard Joe Rogan say Gobekli Tepe so many times.
No,
It just
no.
angers me
Actually,
when I
the
hear
one I have in mind is actually an Arabic legend.
it. Okay. Sounds good to me.
That's a city, so I'll call it Lost Cities.
Now, wait a minute. Didn't we do this before?
Nope.
Didn't we do this like a month ago?
Nope.
His architecture or something, or
No.
hidden architecture? Or
Yes, but no. I haven't ever talked about this particular one I'm thinking of, and I need to
you
research
just
it
said
more.
yes, but no.
Yes, no. Definitely no. Yeah. Lost Egyptian civilizations? No. I just, I like to have at least the one history thing on here every now and then. So what do I got? I got movies, FBI, Eisenhower, comic books, music, Jekyll Island, Pyramid Power, Heaven's Gate, Behold a Pale Horse, I think is the proper name of it. Lost Cities, not Atlantis. Anything else?
Well, that carries us on through the summer.
It
If
does.
we're going to Mr. Cooper, we have to do Alex Jones.
Oh, dude, we could just do a show on Alex Jones and get copyright struck immediately. Sweet.
If they copyright strike it, we'll just switch it over to the general chat in the Discord, tell everybody to join it, and we'll just stream through there if we have to.
Yeah, no,
They can't.
That's what they try to do, Chester.
Yeah, I know. That would actually be a community strike, I'm sure. But no, they'll hit us. And just so you guys know, if you haven't heard, of course, I was talking about the other day, we were talking about video games, and we got hit during the live stream. We couldn't end it. These guys pushed me to protest it, to put a claim against the claim. I did, and it was back up in what, an hour?
Yeah.
So, and no comment from YouTube whatsoever, by the way, right? Because we know there's someone going around hitting the community. We know that, right? So obviously YouTube knows it too. So they're like, yeah, another one. They put it back up. But the thing is, why aren't they dealing with the person who's doing it?
Well, it's probably alts and all kinds of stuff like that. So
maybe it's harder, yeah. But someone's doing it. do frogs and their sexual preferences. Yeah, well, that'll come under Alex Jones. You know the funny thing about Alex Jones, though, and I'll save it for the show, but about the turning the frogs gay, he wasn't lying at all.
No.
That's the irony. People still laugh at it.
Either, but it is funny.
It is funny. But he wasn't lying. It wasn't. He wasn't even bending the truth. It legitimately happened. An actual scientific study.
There's a frog who is a power bottom for a shark.
That's right. What
He just
not?
he had a piece of it wrong. That's all. He was saying gay. He meant by gay. He meant like just homosexual, like all of it as one blanket term. But what it was doing was it was turning the frogs. It was swapping their genders.
It
Some
was.
frogs can do that naturally,
Yeah.
and this was making them do it without their, without them doing
Yeah.
it. It was just doing it.
Now, what the hell is the difference between a bottom and a power bottom? I'm confused.
God.
I would say just enthusiasm. How much effort you're putting in.
Enthusiasm. So when a woman is sitting there grinding you as hard as she can from the bottom, that's a power bottom?
No. This is a super gay thing, Chester.
Is it? No, because I like when women do that.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Yeah.
Especially like when they're on top. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Well, it's less work for me.
Oh Lord, love a blue-eyed duck.
Well, it is only gays, so women can't be power bottoms?
Well, I think it has to do with a certain part of the bottom.
Oh, you mean sodomy?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Women can't do sodomy?
I suppose they could, but that wouldn't be gay now, would it?
Oh, no, they definitely can.
They most certainly can. I've seen it.
Me too.
Me too. But that's now for medical disclaimer. That's not something you would do all the time. Just every now and then. Just every now and then.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's
Or
probably
never.
or never or never or never. Evan Hotep says it's probably a group of people doing it unless it's a trusted flagger account. Probably, dude. You're probably right. Joe Maroney says,
Yeah, but
"Power
it's all
bottom, Mr.
automated.
Slave from South Park." Okay.
These companies, like a rep from Warner Brothers, can hit anything. It'll automatically go through, and it has to manually be taken down. That's the way their system's set up.
Yeah.
These
so-
are the same people who want to run the world, and they want your legal system to function that exact same way, that you're guilty until proven innocent.
Well, look what
So-
happened to Johnny Depp.
Look what's happening right now to those two guys in Georgia. Everybody just automatically assumes they're evil monsters who are out to kill somebody.
Right.
They couldn't possibly have just put themselves in a bad situation and made a mistake. That couldn't be what happened.
Oh, or like
Yeah,
those
That
doctors.
story's coming out too.
Yeah, well, it's like those two doctors from California that are questioning the whole response and situation to coronavirus, and the fact that they have people literally pressuring them to write down coronavirus on every death certificate they sign. Those guys have been absolutely canceled.
Well, last week, a city council at San Antonio put up a resolution to make saying Chinese flu or Wuhan flu hate speech, and they encourage people to call the police. So that's why I was saying Trump hasn't done anything with these governors. These governors should they should do a press conference and declare, if you do this, you are going to be arrested or removed from your position.
May I play devil's advocate for half a second?
Sure, Chester.
One thing that that Trump has done, whether you like it or not, is he has been promoting the actual idea of a republic from the beginning. And the states are responsible for their actions. The federal government is there simply to support and back it up. He has been pushing that for the whole time. This coronavirus has come to the front that he's been doing that. And I love it.
Can I play the devil's advocate to your devil's advocate?
Oh, how many devils are there? Wait a minute.
Constitutionally, the federal government has no oversight to put all these ventilators and PPE and everybody's. This is not their job. It's not their responsibility, and they don't have the authority to nationalize that.
And Trump said that, and he said that.
So he's not doing anything. I'm sorry, Trump fans.
Okay, well,
I don't I do like Trump. I want him to do well. I want him to be a constitutional Republican. I want him to I want him to declare a state of emergency. Then I want him to tell the police to stand down, and I want him to put together the citizens militia. And we'll sort this fucker out in about 2 weeks, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Ground all flights leaving the country, and we're going to sort this out. Get the jails clear.
Yeah, let all the prisoners out. That's a good idea. Now, Evan Hotep, I agree with you on this, dude. So let me bring this up and let you guys explain it. Evan says, I have no idea what you're talking about. Channel your inner Rogan and ask them to explain the Georgia thing. So do that.
The Georgia thing, there was a, now there's more coming out to this, so you'll probably need to go do some of your own little research, because I'm sure more has come out, even some what I know. But originally, it started with a video of a young black man who was just going out for a jog, and two whites in a truck ended up shooting him.
Uh-huh.
So that's the way it was presented.
Right.
You know, this he was getting ready to become an astronaut or a scientist or a
So normal Saturday afternoon. All right.
Sure. But more has come out that these guys also caught him in a house under construction, going through stuff and tools and stuff like that. Apparently, the guy had a former charge against him for trying to bring a gun into a high school.
Yep.
So this kid was problems or had problems. Now that doesn't mean that the kid should have been executed, but it changes the story that he was just out for a jog, and these two guys just killed him for no reason. So stay tuned to that one. That one will cause riots in this country.
It could.
Well,
yeah, interesting.
It's right on cue. I've been calling for riots for about 2 weeks that they were coming, but they just needed. They literally pulled a story from February. Now they're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, you got to let the weather get nice.
Yeah.
To get the riots really going. Yeah,
that's true.
But there's even more to that. So let's. I've been doing this thing lately where I try and steel man the opposite side's argument. Let's say you take for instance that these two, technically three men, but two men were out there and they were trying to be vigilantes and stop this guy because they genuinely believe he's a criminal. Okay, let's say that's not what's happening. Let's say they were just genuine racists. They saw a black man running through a white neighborhood or whatever, and they decided that they weren't going to tolerate that. So they were going to stop him, either shoot him or, mess him up or, whatever. Just generally racist terrorization stuff. That does happen occasionally.
Rare, but dude, that is so freaking rare,
It doesn't happen. That's what I was about to say. It doesn't happen like they would like you to believe. And usually it happens the other way. It's far more often that it's a black guy attacking a white person for the same reason.
Or it's just the black guys terrorizing other black guys in their neighborhood, which is almost always the case.
Yeah.
So let's say that's what happened. Let's say that was their intent from the beginning, was just to terrorize a black guy they saw running through their neighborhood. Okay. The guy gets out of the truck. He's got a shotgun in his hand. He does not have the gun brandished. There's a difference between holding a gun and brandishing a gun, usually, depending on the judge, but most judges are sane and they understand the difference. He was holding the gun down. He was not pointing it at the guy. He came running around the other side from the passenger side of the truck and into him and started attacking him from the video.
Grabbing the gun.
Tried to grab the gun from him and punching him in the face.
At that point, you have to shoot that person.
Exactly.
You cannot let someone disarm you.
Well, you just elevated it. It changed completely.
Yeah.
So it's that idiot up in Michigan who attacked the cops and the whole hands up crap that didn't happen.
Well, it was in Missouri, but yeah.
Right.
But yes, that's my problem. Even the best version of their narrative, the guy still had no choice but to shoot him. He was attacking him for the gun. Now you could say he had no business being out there with a gun. He had no business, chasing this guy, whatever. Okay, that's a different matter. That's not a murder charge. That's a whatever it would be charge, a pestering, terroristic threats, whatever you want to call it. That's not the same as trying to put somebody to either to death or a life in prison for murder. Two totally different things. So you have to be able to separate that, and hopefully the prosecuting people in the court system in Georgia will do that. But let's take it from the other side. The other side that makes far more sense, and the facts seem to be supporting it more and more. This gentleman was 20 miles away from his home. He was jogging through a neighborhood that was not his own. He has been, and I saw the video earlier today, it has been released. They caught him on a home surveillance camera running into a house that looks like it was under construction. He's there for a minute or so, and then all of a sudden he goes zipping out, and two guys go chasing after him. Why would that happen? He was obviously doing something other than look in the windows, right? They wanted to chase him off the property for no reason with that much force. So, a little bit after that, we're assuming it's the same guys. We're going to confront him and probably try and stop him because they had already called the police and told him that they saw somebody acting very suspicious, and he ran off, and we're trying to find him.
Uh-huh.
And then when he gets out of the truck, the same scenario plays out. Whether their motivations were racism or just general public service trying to, stop somebody they thought was a burglar or a potential burglar, it doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day, the guy ran around the other side of their truck and right into them and attacked the man with the gun. You attack a man with a
Wow.
gun, you're getting shot.
Yeah, and we'll
It's,
have to see how this develops. I didn't even know anything about it.
It's a
But
big deal. It's a
it
big
can
deal here.
be. It can be.
Yeah.
But the thing for me with it though is the fact that first of all, who has a problem with anybody running just taking a jog in the neighborhood anyway? Who cares what color they are? No one cares about
Nobody
that.
cares.
Nobody
Nobody
cares about
cares.
that. So obviously something else must have happened, right?
Well,
We'll see though. We'll see.
if
That's
you have
not good.
I'll give you some advice. If you have a gun and someone forcefully tries to pull the gun out of your hand, you better shoot them because you're probably going to end up dead.
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I just ripped
And
their ear off, but that's me.
any self-respecting, self-defense, or general gun safety person will tell you never run towards a gun. If you think that person has intent to harm you with that firearm, you run away as fast as you possibly can. That is your best and safest option. Unless it's a police officer, then you yield because they're a police officer. But if it's just a random dude jumping out of a truck with a gun, you don't run at him. You run away from him every time. Don't give me this flight or fright nonsense. No, that's nonsense. You get away from that firearm because that's what matters in this equation. It doesn't matter why he has the firearm. It doesn't matter if he's evil or a good man. Doesn't matter. He has a gun that will kill you.
Sort that out later.
Yeah, that's for later. Right now, your job is to survive by getting away from the man with the gun. It's that simple.
Well, I don't know
that's
about
gonna
that.
that's gonna be riots here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
This
it will
summer.
be no matter
That will
what,
be
just
riots.
because of the implication there'll be riots, of course.
Well, they
But
need to have them too. The riots are about 2 or 3 weeks solid of a news cycle. Takes up space, but it also takes the everyone's attention off of all the other shenanigans. Everybody knows that the government will normally release things into the wild on Friday when no one's, in the afternoon when no one's watching there. Everyone's on their way home for the weekend.
Mhm.
But they also tend to do it when there's other crazy things going on.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask a question though, because we don't have all the information yet. But regarding this situation, I'll have to go and research it. But what if, and because the news is always looking for actual racism, and they don't find it, and they find it when a non-white person has done it, and then they drop it. But what if they eventually, because I think it's just a matter of odds, eventually they are going to come across an actual racial act from a white person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Well, it does happen. I
Yeah.
mean, there have been a
Look,
few. There was
That
one.
Dylan Roof thing, that seems pretty legit, right? The kid down in South Carolina.
There's
Yeah.
Dylan Roof. There was the one in the city right by the border. What's the name
But those things don't work as well because reasonable white people all go, well, that guy's obviously crazy. Throw that kid in jail.
yeah,
Yeah.
Throw away the key. But
I
when it's one
agree,
of these
yeah.
stories, when people think when they say it's BS, they go, no, this is nonsense. And that allows that fire to grow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I don't really know as much about the Dylan Roof situation as I could. When he went into that church, did he go in there specifically because they were black people, though, or was it an anti-Christian thing?
No, it was black.
No, it was black.
So
yeah.
it was
Yeah.
racist.
Well, and
Okay.
that's the narrative. That's
Yeah.
what everybody has been led to believe. And
He hasn't said anything to counter it either, from my
Yeah.
understanding. That was
Okay.
pretty much his goal, was to kill a bunch of black people.
All right.
And he went to
Well, there
a
you go.
place where he figured he'd be unarmed. So a church,
No.
which is really silly because the church I grew up in, no, that wasn't the case. There was just about everybody who was allowed to be armed was armed. So you didn't. If you were going to walk into that church thinking you were going to cause some serious trouble, you had about 8 guns on you real fast.
Yeah. Well, we saw the thing in the church recently, where the person came in the church with nefarious ideas, and several of the church people standing up, drew their gun, and
you're
they
talking about that
and
church in Texas?
Yeah, and the guy
Yeah,
got shot.
'cause
Yeah.
a couple of people got killed too.
Yeah, no, it
Innocent
was pretty
people.
horrible. And all these shootings are horrible, no matter the race of the person or the intent. It's just awful. But I'll check the thing in Atlanta because, boy, talk about the worst place for something like that to happen. Damn, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
Atlanta is a freaking hotbed of racial tension.
Hmm.
It's a bit of a powder keg,
Yeah, yeah. And it's been that way
but
for a long time.
it's really just Atlanta because it's more south in the state, going down towards Valdosta and Macon. You have you have a lot of like more traditional Southern blacks, like country blacks. They don't have the same mindset as people in Atlanta.
Yeah. Well,
So you don't have that racial tension that goes on in the country. Everybody's just in these farming communities down in South. There's still all these towns that grew up around cotton, and there's still cotton fields everywhere.
well, my dad.
It's a different mindset. Atlanta is kind of like an oasis.
Well, I don't know much about Atlanta. I've only been there a few times, but I did live in the South for a few years. I was a military kid, moving around a lot, and I'll give you a little bit of my experience and see what you think about it. Being a Southern man yourself, now I'm a Yankee, 100%, swamp Yankee actually, and I went into Mobile, Alabama. Okay. And I was junior high school age. Yeah. And now I went in there and it was different in many ways, but I, tried to adapt like you do. But my very first friend I ever made was a black dude, and great piano player, really, really good. I became friends with him, and I noticed that I wasn't really making any headway with the some of the white kids, right? And I was like, oh well, I'm just a Yankee because they kept talking about Yankee this, damn Yankee that, and I was like, all right, well I'm a Yankee, there it is. But I come to find out, and I went through a lot of fist fights, dude, a lot, and it come down to the fact that I had a black friend and they didn't like it. They didn't
Hmm.
like it. So I actually got in a lot of fights with not black dudes, white dudes, because I had a black friend. That's
Yeah.
real. Now, another thing I did notice was in the South that the black people and the white people kind of communally agree not to interact with each other, is what I saw.
Mm.
And this is back in the early 80s, of course. Maybe things are different now. But I mean, that was my experience. And I was there 3 years, and that was 3 years of war for me. And it was good because I learned a lot. I learned how to fight, is what so it was in the end, it was beneficial. But they hated that. They called me all kind of nasty words, dude, just because I
Well,
had a black
yeah,
friend.
that is long enough. Back in '82 was when the big marches happened when Oprah came down here.
Well, that's when it was. 82, 83, 84 is when I was down there. Uh,
Yeah,
but
there was
um,
a lot of racial tension.
oh my God.
In the '90s, you could still go down some of the old country highways in Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, and you'd see the Klan standing on the side of the road with their signs. It's not that long ago.
No, it's not. And to finish the story, though, I'm not going to mention his name or anything. I don't want to put it out there public. But he and I were out at the fall fair, I think it was the harvest fair or something like that. And it's a big event going on in the countryside where we were living. And he made the cardinal sin of dating a white girl, right? And they warned him. They told him not to do that, but he didn't care. He was kind of rebellious like that. And we were at this fair, and I was getting cotton candy, right? And he was over there with the girl. And I heard a bunch of yelling. I looked over, and there were some older guys. These weren't high school, junior high school. They weren't junior high school kids. These was like high school or college age white guys. And in the end of that argument that went on, they ended up pulling out a shotgun and blowing his face off right in front of me, dude, right? This happened and it's real. Now, I don't know what the state of the South is now, but I know for a fact that racism was real in the South. And it's not one sided. Don't misunderstand that. The black people hated the whites too. It was a
Mm.
communal agreement to hate each other and stay away from each other. But me being a poor little swamp Yankee dropping in that situation, no one told me that I wasn't supposed to talk to black people. No one told me that, right?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was more of like a '70s kind of '80s thing of where what you're talking about, where people just kind of self-segregated. It's not like that at all anymore.
Maybe, but I'm just saying that I had these experiences, and being what was I 13 at that time, being 13 years old, and I lost two friends to a shotgun. Actually, dude, I lost him right in front of me, and another friend was a different argument, but it was a white and black thing. Although I don't think there was racism involved, but because his dad owned a whole bunch of fields, and there were a bunch of black sharecroppers that rented the fields from him, right, leased them. And he had a policy that you're not supposed to clear burn. What do they call that when they just burn the fields? But they weren't supposed to do that. That was in their contract, and they were doing it. And he was mad. And I guess he was driving by on the road, and he saw them out there in their trucks burning the fields. He stopped to argue with them, and one of the guys pulled out a shotgun, shot at him, missed. But my friend, the middle school kid, had his head out the window, seeing what his dad's doing, and he got his head taken off too. So I lost two friends while I were down there to shotgun fire in from 82 to 84. So I don't know what to tell you, but trust me, when you're a young middle school age teenage kid and you have two friends die from a shotgun, it affects your ass, dude. It changes your
Yeah,
perspective.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope the world is different down there. But as far as my understanding experience with the South, racism was palpably real from all sides.
Here's what I'll say too about the one in Georgia. Let's if it comes out that these gentlemen were, deep-seated white supremacists or racists or whatever, then they deserve probably to be punished to the fullest extent of the law.
Mm.
If it does not, they're probably going to get off, even if people don't like it, just because the facts of the case don't lead to first-degree murder. They just don't at all, and at least not the ones they've presented. Maybe they have more that hasn't come out yet. They probably do, but I don't think it will. Now, it could, it might, and if they're guilty, they deserve it, and they should be executed.
Sure.
Period. You can't tolerate murder. But if they didn't, if there was no murderous intent, which is incredibly important when it comes to a murder charge, then they won't go down for that. They might still go down for maybe a manslaughter or a lesser charge.
Negligent homicide or something like that, but
Sure.
But murder is what they're being charged with, which is probably a bad call because I don't, from what I've seen, and I used to study this stuff all the time to look for people who are innocent, they don't have a case for it. They're just not strong enough. Now, they probably, like I said, they probably have other stuff they haven't released, but what they have released is definitely not strong enough for a murder charge.
No.
It's just not.
Well, and one thing we're going to see with that, it kind of comes back to what Model said, and it's a very truthful statement because if you look at it,
thanks, Chester.
well, no, it is a very truthful statement because if someone like this Dylan Roof kid or someone like that comes out and it did something bad, the white people, the whites, they will quickly and clearly say, yeah, throw them in jail. It's horrible, right?
Yeah.
But when we see the other side, it doesn't go like that. Let me give you a good example. Jesse Smollett, right? Now, Jesse Smollett, he lied. We know what he did. He set the situation up to make white people look bad. He's guilty of sin, right? But what do we see a whole bunch of black people doing? Coming up and saying, well, at least it was a noble effort. What?
Well, he tried to lie about it. He just wasn't very good. Right?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that it is not balanced. That is true. Eric Hawkins says, Jesus, what part of the South are you all from? My whole family's from Tennessee and have found the people up north and here in the Midwest to be much more racist. I would agree with that statement, dude. People in the North, I don't know the Midwest, people in the North are more racist, actively racist toward each other as far as grumbling. But I'm just saying there was an overall acceptance when I was in the South that whites and blacks don't communicate. They stay separate. That was an understanding.
One thing I've noticed about Midwesterners is we tend to be very honest about things that annoy us. We will drop the nice guy act real quick. And when that comes to racial stuff, we'll just say it. Even if we don't actually feel it, we'll just say it because we're annoyed.
Maybe.
So you'll see a lot of cases like you're talking about, grumbling, racist grumbling. Happens from every race to each other all the time, but then when we need help, we help each other. Period.
Yeah.
It's not even a question. That's just how we are.
And and I've heard other people say like that. But Eric, just to finish answering the question, I was only in the South for 3 years. I'm not a Southerner at all. I'm not. I'm just telling you about my experience while I was there, and those are some of
I
the
think you
worst years of
dreamt
my
that,
life, dude.
Esther.
No, I did
I think
not,
you
dude.
dreamt the whole
Those are the
thing.
worst years of my life, dude. I went through absolute hell. I cannot tell you how many fights I got into. I cannot tell you how horrible psychologically and emotionally it was. It was horrible. And even
Yeah.
today, even though as an adult man, I know better than to live on childhood dreams, but even as an adult man, it's hard for me to have positive thoughts about Southern men. It is. And it's not fair, and I know so, and I stop myself from doing it. But I have very negative feelings about the South because of my time there. Even though like I said, I know it's not fair, and therefore I don't do it. But
I
that
actually,
was horrible. Yeah.
since we're divulging racial background stuff, my very first actual, I was like 14, girlfriend I ever had that I could actually call a girlfriend was a black girl.
Hmm.
And even in, what was that, the mid 90s, I guess it would have been, there was still a little bit of that. My my family has a weird relationship when it comes to race. There's some of them are pretty hard racists, and some of them are not at all. But if you were one of us, you're one of us. It doesn't matter what skin color you were.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of how Midwesterners are. They come off as like harsh and gruff when it comes to some of that stuff, like Eric's noticing. But if you're one of them, you're one of them. It doesn't matter. Period. End of. And I think with my experiences when I was dating her, which wasn't very long, there was a little bit of that from, some of the parents who weren't like my friends' parents, right? Some of those, not my friends' parents, but other people around them would see it, and you catch, the sideways, like one of them, one of them side glance type deal, or you could hear something, you could hear a little whisper. You couldn't really hear what they were saying, but there was whispers going on whenever we were around together, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's still around. It's still real. My
Yeah.
problem with it is when it's not that it's not real. It's that people make it to be more than it is. That happened to me, and that happened to her, and we talk about it, and it's really not a big deal because we weren't soft, sensitive little pussies who couldn't take a little negativity around us for any
Sure.
reason. And
Yeah.
it's
Sure.
just what it is.
Well, I did have a friends with benefits with a black girl for a while, but I never had any trouble with that whatsoever. But you don't think I didn't catch flack for marrying a Japanese girl?
Oh, for sure.
For
I'm sure.
damn sure. My
No wonder.
mother was straight up, and my aunties were straight up pissed. My dad didn't care,
Well, your
but
dad
my
was your dad
mom.
ever stationed
What?
overseas?
What do you say?
Was your dad ever stationed overseas?
My dad's killed a lot of Asian people. Yeah.
That's not what I meant. I meant has he ever had sex with Asian women? Is what
He
I was
was
getting.
well. My dad was in Nam for 4 years,
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
and
he got a
he.
little bit of the fever.
I think he might have, yeah, because this before he was married too. But because my dad was one of those dudes that they,
Oh man.
that Halo term, that they made that game out of. Well, my dad was one of those Marines that actually did that. They would drop in, do their mission, helicopter out back to Japan. I think he was in Yokosuka, and they would do that like every week. They would just parachute into frickin' Vietnam, do whatever their nonsense they were doing, and come back to Japan. So you're probably right. But my mom and aunties were not pleased, and you know what it came down to? It wasn't really necessarily a racism toward the Japanese girl, my wife. It was because they're very Christian, and in the Bible it says, "Ye shall not mix ye yokes."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. It depends which sect or denomination or whatever you want to call it of Christianity, but some take that very seriously. They
Yes.
don't think people should mix between cultures. Even they can be the same race, different
Maybe they
culture.
were talking about sharks.
Maybe.
Apparently, somebody should have been because, good Lord, DC, what are you doing? Ah,
Yeah, but I mean, struggles and stress in our life is a normal thing, and they got over it. I never took any offense to it because I know how they are. But and they did eventually get over it. My mom was nice to my wife eventually. But these kind of things happen, man. And
You know what the reality is, though? You will never get rid of racism,
no,
ever.
of course not, because it's not even
It will
racism.
never go away. You can make laws about it, and then there'll be less public incidents, but you will never get rid of it. So is that what you really do? You actually want to see people get along and be in harmony? Because I think that's what would be the nice thing.
hmm.
Yeah, well,
While
see,
doing all these laws, you don't get that. You get people that are just afraid to say what's on their mind, but there's something stewing under the surface.
Well, and then what happens is, and we've seen this in the last few years with some of these online movements, whether right, left, or center, when people feel ostracized, right? They're not allowed to express their opinion, whether their opinion on a matter like that is correct or incorrect in your eyes. If you invalidate their ability to speak it, they will go find people who will allow them to speak it. And those people may very well not have good intentions.
mm,
This could have been a good person who just had a wrong opinion, or whatever, however you want to word it, right? They had a dark outlook on something that they shouldn't have, and they could be helped away from that very easily with just making friends with somebody who helps them out of it. A lot of these people like this are miserable because they have miserable lives because they're generally lonely. They're very
Well, and
lonely.
there's a time to start worrying about angry people, and
Yes.
that's when they stop talking.
oh yeah,
Yes.
that's right. That is,
And when
oh
you
yeah,
take away the ability for someone to address a grievance through speech or peaceful means, you leave them in a situation which is kind of what we're seeing things get funneled into now, where
Mhm.
your voting doesn't matter, your calling your representatives doesn't matter, protesting doesn't matter, because they just put snipers on the roof and spend a few million on overtime for police officers, and then the next day everything's back to normal. People are starting to see that now, that no one's listening.
Even
You have Trump, for example, who goes in 3 years later. He's not done any of these important things that he said he was going to do. None of that's happened. So people are stewing.
Mhm.
And then you have this COVID thing on top of it, where people are losing their businesses. They're getting 3 months behind on their mortgage. Yeah, it could be a long, hot summer, folks. And I'm telling you,
oh yeah,
everybody should kind of keep their head on a swivel going through the summer into the fall,
I
because
agree.
I still think this corona's coming back in the fall.
It probably will. You're right, and hopefully they'll have better means to deal with it. But let me catch up. There's some things in the chat I want to address. Let's see. Eric says, "I'm just outside St. Louis now, and has been a racial time bomb ever since the hands up, don't shoot with Michael Brown." Well, the thing is, dude, that was a complete lie, right? We know that. But it's unfortunate because they don't care it's a lie. Eric says, My dad was over in Korea and stationed in Japan. He has yellow fever bad. Well, you know why? There's an interesting reason behind the yellow fever thing. Well, it could be just something exotic and different. I think that's part of it. But from my personal experience, the sex is better. And you know why? No, I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain. There's actual scientific reason for it, Thundero.
uh, better
No,
than
it is
truth.
because when you're having sex with a Western girl, which I've had many, right? All different types, all different colors, all kind of shapes. Well, I have a particular shape I like, but nevertheless, I've tried all these different girls, and the big difference between them and an Asian girl is the Asian girl is about pleasing you, and the Western girl is about pleasing herself.
Hmm. See, I must have married a Asian woman then,
You might have.
and she's just in spirit. Well, she does. Maybe she is. She loves Japanese food. She
Uh-huh.
loves anime. She loves. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you. I'm
Well,
with
it's
you.
it's
We're
not a
there.
blanket statement, but it's a general statement of truth, right?
No, you're probably very correct. That's been a stereotype of, and I hate to use that word because it's been given such a negative connotation, but it's not a bad word. It's a stereotype of Asian women where they're very, about pleasing their man,
They are.
and it's just seems to be the truth, right? That's why it
Yep.
exists as a
And
stereotype.
all these weeboos, they see a couple of porn videos, and the girls, they always will act like your wiener is just too big and they can't take it.
Well, in
So
in certain cases, it is a
all these
problem.
weebs see that and they're like, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean it's just the way it is. I mean you're going to be hard pressed to find a better wife. I mean an actual wife than you are in Asia, particularly Japanese wife, out of all of them. It's hard. You'd be hard pressed to do so. Now there's plenty of good women in the West, plenty of great wives, great mothers. Of course there are, but in general, the concept of community and family and it being so important. Like for instance. My wife will give me flack when I do something stupid, but she does it privately at home. She would never call me out in public, ever, ever. Now, is that because I'm the man and I'm in charge and stay in your place, damn women? No, it's not because we're a team, you see. She's my
Mm,
partner. And whatever I do or she does reflects on us both.
yeah. Smart.
Last Friday, I went to Walmart and I was walking down the aisle, and there was a young couple, I would say 25. And they had a young daughter with them. And the guy is walking across the aisle. He's gone, and I hear the wife go, "Matt, don't you fucking walk away." And he turned around, and he and we locked eyes, and I kind of gave him the smirk, and he looked down at his shoes and just walked back over to her.
No, no, no.
Oh yeah. I was laughing. I texted my brother immediately, like, he won't believe what I just saw. But Chester, the numbers and the statistics will say that the quality of Western women as a whole is plummeting
It is.
because
It is.
marriages and divorce and all the other statistics that correlate to that, and this whole thing of I think we talked about it last week, how in 1985 or something like that, 7% of men said that they were virgins at age 18 and above,
Sure.
whereas now it's like 28%. It just, there's a problem. There is a problem that is eventually will probably right itself naturally. So it doesn't need like an executive order or anything.
No, of course not. You don't need the government to get involved in this crap at all. But another thing that helps Asians in general when it comes to family life and why the divorce rate is so low here compared to the West, is a simple fact. A wife's job is as a wife first, and her job is second. Most women here have jobs, but she's a wife and a mother first. The job is second, and the industry itself, meaning the employers, understand that, and the system is built up to that. So women here can get time off or whatever they need to deal with family stuff automatically. No one even questions it, and it's not a matter of the dynamics being written down in the books and you took this sick day. No, it's just go ahead. That's built in. Men don't get that, of course, but women do, and it works really well. In the West, you don't have this, dude. You do not have this.
It used to be that way, though.
It used to be. Yeah,
The
long time
feminists
ago.
did this to themselves.
They did. Yeah.
And by
in the vagina.
4 or 5 decades ago, a man could raise a family of 5 kids on just his salary.
Yep.
You can't, and buy a house and have 2 cars, and you can't do that anymore.
No.
They made it so that both people have to work. It's unless the one breadwinner, whether it's the husband or the wife, make a lot of money and can do it. So that does happen,
right.
but it's not the norm.
No, and the feminists did it. It's their fault.
Yeah,
they caused the situation we're in today. It's 100%.
So they forced themselves to have a career.
Yep.
They also forced the salaries down for everybody, but in particular for them, because it is well known that due to other reasons, whatever those may be, that women in general are less productive over the lifetime of a job. They either have more sick time, they have their maternity leave, so that does equate to making less money.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, here in Asia, that doesn't matter. No one cares about the actual income, because women gain so much benefit from their ability to simply do what they need to do as a mother and a wife. And there's no question that brings value to their job that isn't calculatable, right?
Of course.
And there are certain things here. I mean, don't misunderstand me. There are things in Asia that is done better than the West, of course. But there's things that the West does better too. It's not everything's great in Asia. That's not true. But when it comes to family, the Asians do it better than the Westerns are right now, anyway.
Absolutely.
They simply are. Yeah.
When a culture starts doing things like sending its women into combat, they've lost it. They've lost it. It's time for a reset. You don't send your mother into combat.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, especially because half of the damn combat we've done throughout history is about protecting the damn woman anyway. Yeah, but I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. But, goodness gracious. Although I do agree, Nick, how can we have harmony when there are murder hornets? I agree.
There's so many of them.
The 60s,
Oh,
the Japanese has adopted to have adapted to the murder hornets. We haven't yet. That's true. That is true. That's true. Goodness. We got to wrap it up, though, guys. I got to get ready for work, which I'm very happy to be back to, by the way. And I hope you guys get back to work as well. Today was unfocused and rambling, but I had a lot of fun. Did you guys enjoy yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice casual
Yeah.
bitch fest.
Absolutely. Now, next week we created a list. I think it's a good list. Next week, what should we dive into? We got the movies, FBI, Eisenhower, comic books, music, Jekyll Island, Pyramid Power, Heaven's Gate, Behold a Pale Horse, Lost Cities, Not Atlantis, and Alex Jones. Which one would you like to pick?
Let's do Bill Cooper.
yeah, I was gonna say Cooper for
Bill
sure.
Cooper. All right.
Yeah, let's do Bill Cooper.
The murder of Bill Cooper.
All right.
His show was called The Hour of the Time.
Yes.
You'll want to look some of that up, Chester.
Oh no, I will. Let's
I like
write that down.
topics that I don't have to work that hard, and Chester has to go spend his whole week.
It's called The Hour of the Time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Hour
And
of
of course-
the Time.
Hey, Chester, you've never heard of Bill Cooper? You never heard of William Cooper?
I probably have, but I'm not recognizing it offhand. No.
Oh, if you ever have, as soon as you hear him, you'll recognize him. He has a
Yeah.
very distinct voice. But yeah, no, he was. I mean, spoilers. He was definitely assassinated by agents of our government. No question.
Oh, cool. No,
he's
I'll-
one
I'll-
of the OG conspiracy guys with like the Alex Jones, David Ikes.
Yeah.
William Cooper was there.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, no, I'll definitely dive into. You guys know I will. I always do my research.
But William Cooper was not a kook, though.
No.
Oh, there. Well, okay. Cool. And no, we're not talking about DB Cooper, Eric. Jesus.
What about the money he took?
Right. And did he survive the fall? Did the parachute work?
Sometimes Evan says things and I just get so disappointed.
It's a shame that people don't know who Bill Cooper is, because in all honesty, he should be more known than Alex Jones. He was absolutely, and I'm going to say it all next week too, murdered by the United States government. 100%, no
well, he
question.
wouldn't be the first, dude.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. I mean, we could do that. We could do extrajudicial government murders, because there have been a lot of them that we know of, which means there's a lot more that we don't.
Sure. Cool. All right. Well, next week we're going to be talking about Bill Cooper, and I'm going to learn everything I need to know about him in the next week. So it'll be fun. And it's fun for me too, because a lot of times I'll prep for these shows, and I'm kind of just brushing up on what I already know. This topic I don't know anything about, so it's going to be fun. All right, let's have our closing statements, and then we'll get ourselves out of here. So let's start with let's have Model do the namaste today. So why don't you go ahead and give us your final thoughts, Thundero?
My final thoughts are, we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. One thing that I talked about a lot was the Georgia shootings that happened actually in February. One last thing on that. The reason why I want this to be adjudicated properly is because the very concept of defending your territory, of defending your neighborhood, of defending your streets, as an American citizen, we are all members of the militia. It is all of our job. It is not the state's job to do so. We allow them to do it. We give them the authority most of the time, but when a rubber meets the road, it's our job. The Second Amendment says what it says for a reason. The militia exists for that reason, and this is one of them. So it's very important that people who care about that stuff, care about liberty, the Second Amendment and stuff, when cases like this get pushed to the forefront, just pay close attention to it, because there's an agenda. It's not just a racial agenda. That's the nice little frosting on the cake. The cake is the Second Amendment. They need to demonize gun owners and normal people using the Second Amendment and the power that it grants us for its intended purpose, because they're afraid, and they should be.
Yeah. Well,
other than that, we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Sweet. All right, guys. That and I do hope it doesn't turn out to be racial. But simple fact of the matter is, thing that the news never talks about, Thundero, is the fact that you have tens of thousands more cases of people doing positive things with guns than negative every year,
Absolutely.
and they never
Probably
talk about it.
millions.
Yeah, they never
Yeah,
talk about it.
probably.
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, do keep in mind tomorrow we are going to have our 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time show, Comics News Today, where we will talk about comics, and Model will be nowhere near it. I promise.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. But we're going to talk about comic stuff, and there's plenty to talk about. Then, of course, we have our normal week ahead of us, and next week we will be talking about William Cooper. Behold, a pale horse. But that's it for us today, and please take us out, Model.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
I gave you the finger guns.
Uh,
All right.
okay.
Prepare, pray, and stay out of the way. That's my closing statement.
All right. Rock on. Namaste. Later, guys.